Warrior Lore. Chapter 180. The Eternal Demon Mountain was one of the 9 great death zones of the Martial Heaven continent. It was rumored that the Eternal Demon Mountain hid the greatest secret of the 3,000 prefectures. It was a forbidden zone for life, filled with endless dangers. It was rumored that an ancient sage emperor had once entered the Eternal Demon Mountain before he died. In the end, he died in the depths of the Eternal Demon Mountain. There were also rumors that several supreme experts of the demon race had wanted to go against the heavens and seize their lives. They had entered the Eternal Demon Mountain to search for immortal medicines of immortality. But in the end, they hadn't been able to leave and had died. There were too many rumors and secrets regarding the Eternal Demon Mountain. Every year, there would be people who would enter the Eternal Demon Mountain in search of opportunities, especially the rumored immortal medicines of immortality. The immortal medicines of immortality were the same as the heavenly flames. They were immortal roots that had been nurtured together with the heavens and earth at the beginning of time. Consuming immortal medicines of immortality would allow one to recover no matter how heavy their injuries were. Of course, the most terrifying thing about immortal medicines of immortality was that they could allow one to live a second life. Birth, old age, sickness, and death. This was something that even ancient sage emperors couldn't reverse. But if one consumed immortal medicines of immortality, they could return to their youth. Furthermore, their strength wouldn't decline. That was too terrifying. It was equivalent to cultivating for 2 lives. Thus, every time an immortal medicine of immortality appeared, it would cause a huge commotion. Because of the immortal medicines of immortality, countless people knew that the Eternal Demon Mountain was a death zone. But every year, there would still be cultivators who weren't afraid of death entering the Eternal Demon Mountain to search for immortal medicines of immortality. Today, Lin Feng had arrived at the Eternal Demon Mountain. This was an endless mountain range. It was shrouded in white mist, and he couldn't see the end of it. He also couldn't see the inside of the Eternal Demon Mountain. About a dozen miles away from the Eternal Demon Mountain, there was a small town. It was built near the Eternal Demon Mountain and was called Eternal Town. People came and went, and it was very lively. Every year, many people would come to pay their respects to the Eternal Demon Mountain. There were also many people who would take the risk of entering the Eternal Demon Mountain. They would pass by this place and rest. Is this heavenly flame really in the Eternal Demon Mountain? Lin Feng looked in the direction of the Eternal Demon Mountain, feeling extremely stifling. It was as if the Eternal Demon Mountain was emitting a terrifying aura that was suffocating. Mysterious, terrifying. This was the feeling that the land of death, the Eternal Demon Mountain, gave Lin Feng. If what's written on the scroll isn't wrong, and if what that old bastard said isn't wrong, then if there really is a heavenly flame in the ancient demon mountains, then it should be the purple earthcore flame. Out of the 72 heavenly flames, the purple earthcore flame is ranked 67th. It's said that it's a great earth flame, and it's said that it's a heavenly flame born from the heart of the great earth. It's said that it's a heavenly flame born from the beginning of primal chaos, when the heavens and earth were gradually separated. It's said that it's a heavenly flame born from the heart of the great earth. Fire Qilin said. Of course, any one of the 72 heavenly flames was extremely heaven-defying. As long as one could obtain one of them, they would be able to help the person who refined the heavenly flame soar to the sky. Lin Feng said, the primordial demon mountains are filled with danger. Even if the heavenly flame really is inside, we still have to carefully consider whether or not we have the ability to enter the primordial demon mountains and refine the heavenly flame. I don't want to die for nothing. Lin Feng's worries weren't without reason. The Eternal Demon Mountains was a place where countless powerhouses were buried every year. A place like this was simply a burial ground for cultivators. Let's rest in Eternal Town for a few days first, then we'll see what's going on here. Fire Qilin said. Lin Feng nodded, and he settled down in the town. On the second day, Lin Feng went to the outskirts of the primordial demon mountains to observe. There were many cultivators in the surroundings, and many of them were observing the primordial demon mountains. I heard that a group of people entered a month ago, and they still haven't come out. I'm afraid they've already died inside, right? Someone asked. Wanting to enter the primordial demon mountains to look for opportunities isn't an easy task. Another person shook his head, feeling that this matter wasn't too reliable. The primordial demon mountains were too strange and terrifying. Since it was called a place of death, it was obviously a burial ground. Who knew how many people had died in the primordial demon mountains? Wanting to find opportunities in the primordial demon mountains was indeed not an easy task. Of course, there were also some people who weren't afraid of death who entered, but the results were often tragic. At this time, a commotion could be heard in the distance. A silver-haired man in golden robes was walking over. His arrival caused a huge commotion. Genie-chin, someone cried out in alarm. This person's identity was very shocking. Genie-chin was known as the #1 genius of the Eastern Divine Prefecture. His cultivation had already surpassed the older generation's experts, and he could compete with almighties. He was an abnormally terrifying monster, and now he had appeared in the primordial demon mountains. Genie-chin was like a war god in golden robes. He stood in the air, looking into the depths of the primordial demon mountains. Very quickly, another commotion could be heard. A young man in white robes walked over. He was handsome and confident, and he had a refreshing smile on his face. That's the Southern Celestial Prefecture's supreme genius, Qin Mubai. Someone recognized the white-robed man's identity and was shocked. Qin Mubai's background was extremely noble. It was rumored that he came from an ancient sect that had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years. He was the leader of the sect's younger generation. Even in the Tianwu continent's 3,000 prefectures, Qin Mubai was a top genius. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A loud sound came from the distance, and then everyone saw 9 huge flood dragons pulling a divine chariot quickly fly over. 9 dragons pulling the chariot. Everyone was shocked. Flood dragons, what kind of terrifying existence were they? Now they were just pulling a chariot. Who was sitting in the chariot? Very quickly, the 9 dragons pulled the chariot over and stopped in mid-air. A young man and a young girl walked out. Ji Mingtian of the Great Zhou Empire. Someone cried out in surprise. The Great Zhou Empire was one of the 4 great empires of the Tianwu continent. The 4 great empires were the Great Xia Empire, the Great Zhou Empire, the Great Qin Empire, and the Great Han Empire. These 4 great ancient empires were the strongest forces in the 3,000 prefectures. Even the ancient forces could not be compared to the 4 great ancient empires. Perhaps only the ancient Holy Lands could be on equal footing with the 4 great ancient empires. Ji Mingtian was the 3rd prince of the Great Zhou Empire, and his status was noble. Is that the Great Zhou Emperor's little princess? Someone whispered, looking at the girl beside Ji Mingtian. The Great Zhou Emperor had 27 sons, but only 1 daughter, so he doted on her very much. Whoosh! In the distance, there was a 7-colored celestial light lingering. A woman flew over, wearing a 7-colored celestial robe, like a fairy who had fallen from the 9 heavens. It's Fairy Mingxian of the Fairy Pavilion. Someone cried out in surprise. The Fairy Pavilion was one of the oldest holy lands in the 3,000 prefectures, and Fairy Mingxian was one of the top 10 beauties of the 3,000 prefectures. Chapter 181. Many people were astonished. They hadn't thought that so many top figures of the younger generation would come. However, after a short moment of shock, they regained their composure. This was because every year, many people would come to pay their respects to this land of death. Not to mention the top characters of the younger generation, even the mortal kings of the 4 ancient dynasties, the saint lords of the ancient sacred grounds, and the school masters of a few ancient sects had come to the Undying Mountains. The prince and princess of the Great Zhou Empire. I really want to kill them. The Fire Qilin looked at Ji Mingtian and Ji Yuhan with a fierce gaze. Lin Feng asked suspiciously, "Do you have a grudge against them?" The Fire Qilin said fiercely, "Back then, there was an old bastard from the Great Zhou Empire who attacked me. I was almost cut in half by that old bastard's blade." The Fire Qilin couldn't help but shrink its neck. Back then, the Fire Qilin had stolen the Holy Emperor's Stone from a group of heroes. Because of that, it had been surrounded by many experts and had almost died. That was how it had escaped to the Eastern Divine Prefecture. However, after arriving in the Eastern Divine Prefecture, something even more terrifying had happened to the fire Qilin. The Holy Emperor's stone was very strange. It wanted to control the fire Qilin's body, causing it to become weaker and weaker. Later, the fire Qilin had finally managed to break free from the Holy Emperor's stone's control, but it had met Lin Feng. Lin Feng's demon orb had devoured its godly power, turning it into its current state. The fire Qilin had then thrown the Holy Emperor's stone to Lin Feng as if it was a hot potato. The Holy Emperor's stone was indeed very strange. When Lin Feng had tried to sense it, he had felt a terrifying power trying to control him. Later, Lin Feng had simply stopped touching the Holy Emperor's stone because it was too strange. Back then, the fire Qilin had been so strong, but it hadn't been able to control the Holy Emperor's stone, let alone the current Lin Feng. The fire Qilin hated the house and its crow. Back then, it had almost been killed by an ancestor of the Great Zhou Empire, so it hated Ji Mingtian and Ji Yuhan as well. At that moment, Ji Yuhan looked at Lin Feng suspiciously. The fire Qilin was so scared that it jumped into the forest with a whoosh. Ji Yuhan slightly knitted her brows and looked at Lin Feng with some doubt. Ji Mingtian asked, "What's wrong? What's wrong with that?" Ji Yuhan shook her head slightly and retracted her gaze. "This girl's perception is so strong." The fire Qilin ran out and muttered, "The princess of the Gu dynasty is not simple at all." Lin Feng stroked his chin and said, "The inheritors of these ancient powers were only a few years older than Lin Feng, but their strength was too terrifying. Which one of them wasn't a powerful figure who had grasped a great divine ability? He was chasing after the experts of the older generation. This was the difference between a large faction and a small faction. The geniuses nurtured by large factions were all unimaginably powerful. Many people looked at these top geniuses and discussed animatedly. These top-tier sky prides looked towards the undying mountain range. They had come here to admire the undying mountain range. There's nothing to see, just a bunch of broken mountains. Ji Yuhan snorted and said, Fairy Meng Yao, Qin Mubai, and Genie Chen were all extremely powerful figures, so they could naturally hear Ji Yuhan's muttering and shook their heads. Ji Mingtian said, 100,000 years ago, one of our ancestors was a master of fortune. He was almost invincible in the 3,000 provinces. In his old age, he wanted to change his fate, so he entered the undying mountain range and never came out again. Ji Yuhan was silent for a moment, then said, What kind of dangers are in this place of death? It's hard to say. Some people go in and never come out again, but there are also cultivators who come out without encountering anything, but there are very few of them. They're lucky to be able to come out alive. Boom. At that moment, an earth-shaking sound came from the depths of the undying mountain range. Heavens, look! Many people cried out in alarm, their faces full of shock. At that moment, something strange was happening in the depths of the undying mountain range. Endless darkness enveloped the world. It was still daytime, but the sky quickly darkened and turned into darkness. This is? The fire Qilin was shocked. Swish! A Milky Way world suddenly appeared in the sky. That Milky Way world was boundless, as if it was connected to the vast expanse of stars. Moonlight sprinkled down like a waterfall of the Milky Way, magnificent and magnificent. But at that moment, something terrifying and strange happened. A blood-red moon slowly rose into the sky, hanging in the sky. A blood-red moon? How can there be a blood-red moon? Many people cried out in alarm, because the scene in front of them was too strange. What's that? Genie Chen narrowed his eyes. The appearance of a blood-red moon is something recorded in ancient scriptures. It's actually happening. Fairy Ming Yao's expression changed drastically. A blood-red moon? That's a bad omen. Qin Mubai's expression changed drastically as well. A blood-red moon has appeared. A great calamity is about to descend. Ji Mingtian's expression was unsightly. Run. Something terrifying is about to happen, shouted the fire Qilin. Even though the fire Qilin didn't have any godly strength, it was still a divine beast, and it could sense danger very well. When it saw the blood-red moon, it knew it was in trouble, so it turned around and ran. Swish! Lin Feng didn't dare flap his wings, so he activated his golden wings and flew away. Let's go. Ji Mingtian's expression changed drastically. He and Ji Yuhan flew towards the divine nine-dragon carriage. Qin Mubai, Fairy Ming Yao, Genie Chen, and the other strong cultivators also sensed danger and immediately flew away. They had to get away from the undying mountain range as quickly as possible, but it was too late. At that moment, a strong wind swept across the sky, wreaking havoc. Many people were sucked in by the wind. No, I don't want to die. Many cultivators were terrified, but they couldn't escape. They were all swallowed up by the wind. Groan. In the distance, the nine-headed flood dragon let out a cry of terror and flew away, but it couldn't escape either. It was swallowed up by the wind. Even strong cultivators like Genie Chen and Fairy Ming Yao couldn't escape. They were also sucked in by the wind. Run, run, run. Lin Feng flapped his golden wings crazily and flew away. He was too fast, like a bolt of golden lightning. However, Lin Feng still couldn't escape. The wind swept across the sky, and Lin Feng was also sucked in. That destructive force ruthlessly bombarded Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng felt as if an ancient mountain had crashed into him, and then he lost consciousness. Chapter 182. Lin Feng couldn't help but groan. He felt as if his entire body was falling apart. Lin Feng opened his eyes. His surroundings were pitch black, and he was lying in a forest. What is this place? Lin Feng crawled up from the ground and looked around in confusion. Soon, he recalled what had happened. Not long ago, the blood moon had appeared. Then, a terrifying cold wind blew between heaven and earth, sucking him into the cold wind. Then, he fainted. Is this the interior of the undying mountain range? Lin Feng felt his hair stand on end. He had thought of entering the undying mountain range to look for the heavenly fire, but it was just a thought. The undying mountain range was a land of death. Even the ancestors of the ancient empire had died there. This place was full of danger. The slightest bit of carelessness could lead to death. Now, he had been dragged in. He didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse. The fire Qilin wasn't by his side now. Lin Feng was worried sick. In the distance, the blood moon was still hanging in the sky, emitting a demonic blood-red light. All of this seemed to be caused by this demonic blood moon. Lin Feng was deep in the mountains. He had to think of a way to leave. Lin Feng chose a direction and walked carefully. At that moment, he saw a dozen figures appear. They were the lucky survivors. When they saw Lin Feng, they couldn't help but sigh. It's good that you're alive. As long as you're alive, there's still hope. Saber Master, you're experienced and knowledgeable. You have to bring us out. A young cultivator in purple said with a pale face. The old man's nickname was Saber Master. He was a very famous person in this area. This time, he had also been dragged into the undying mountain range. Don't worry, we'll definitely be able to get out. Everyone, follow me. Don't move around carelessly. Let's go, Master Dao said. Yes. Everyone nodded and followed Saber Master. Lin Feng learned from a cultivator next to him that when Dao Yu was young, he had gone to the immortal mountain range with his ancestors. But back then, all his ancestors had died in the immortal mountain range. Dao Yu was the only one who had come out alive. Saber Master had been ill for 3 years. He had gradually recovered, but since then, he had never mentioned anything about the undying mountain range. Something must have happened in the past that no one knew about. Look, that's a blood spirit grass. It's 10 leaves. Suddenly, one of the cultivators exclaimed. He pointed at a stalk of spiritual medicine growing on a cliff a few dozen meters away. Lin Feng looked over and saw a medicinal herb with 10 blood-red leaves. A 2,000-year-old spiritual herb. If he were to refine it, his cultivation would definitely soar by leaps and bounds. Everyone's eyes suddenly lit up. Someone wanted to go and pick the blood spirit grass. Are you tired of living? You'll get everyone killed. Saber Master said coldly. The faces of the several cultivators who were about to take action flickered slightly, and they halted their steps. Saber Master, it's not far from us. There shouldn't be any problems, right? Some people were unwilling to leave just like that, and asked aloud. Saber Lord said coldly, this is the immortal mountain range, a place of death. Every place can be dangerous. In the past, Even saints died in the immortal mountain range. You should know how terrifying it is. If you're not careful, you can kill everyone. Saber Master's attitude was unprecedentedly firm. No one was allowed to act on their own and leave the group. Everyone continued moving forward. Look, there's a magical treasure. Someone cried out in alarm. An ancient bell magical treasure had fallen on the ground. It was emitting terrifying waves of energy. Lin Feng was shocked. It was obviously a high-grade magical treasure. At the very least, it had been refined by a yin-yang cultivator. It emitted waves of energy that made people feel suffocated. The appearance of this magical treasure naturally caused a huge commotion. Some people were eager to try. Saber Master said coldly, "Don't touch it. These things don't belong to us." Saber Master, they're very close to us. Why don't they belong to us? This is our destiny, said a young man in cyan. What? You want them? You can? Wait here. Once we're far away, you can do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with us. Saber Master sneered. Saber Master's attitude was unyielding. No one was allowed to leave the group. Otherwise, they would have to leave. Everyone was still hoping to leave with Saber Master. Even though they were unwilling, they didn't want to disobey Saber Master at this time. However, on the way, they saw all kinds of magical treasures and all kinds of magical medicines. Saber Master didn't allow them to leave the group, so they missed them. They're all dead people's belongings. You can imagine what kind of strong cultivators they were, but they still died here. They turned into dust a long time ago, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. Saber Master said. Everyone shivered and didn't dare say anything else. After walking for a long time, everyone felt tired and rested where they were. At that moment, Lin Feng smelled a faint fragrance in the air. In an instant, he felt his fatigue disappear. He was instantly full of energy. Oh my God! What's going on? It's that magical medicine! Someone cried out. Not far away, there was a magical medicine. It was a 7-colored magical medicine. It emitted a 7-colored light and a faint fragrance. 7-colored grass. It's the legendary 7-colored grass. It's said that it grows for 10,000 years and has 7 colors. This is a 10,000-year-old magical medicine. A middle-aged cultivator shouted excitedly, a 10,000-year-old magical medicine. Everyone felt their mouths and tongues go dry. Everyone knew what a 10,000-year-old magical medicine meant. It was said that a 10,000-year-old magical medicine could bring back the dead. The meaning was simple. As long as you still had a breath left, no matter how serious your injuries were, you could recover very quickly after eating a 10,000-year-old magical medicine. A 10,000-year-old magical medicine wasn't like an immortal medicine that could allow a person to live a second life, but its healing effects weren't much worse than an immortal medicine. It was a supreme magical medicine that could save a person's life at a critical moment. And now, a 10,000-year-old magical medicine appeared in front of everyone a dozen meters away. Someone moved. The young man couldn't wait any longer and walked towards the magical medicine. The young man in purple shouted, Fan Xian, do you want to die? Fan Xian sneered. Zi Xiao, you're too cowardly. Nothing will happen to you. Just watch me pick the 10,000-year-old magical medicine. Haha, come back here. Saber Master's expression changed greatly. Fan Xian said coldly, Saber Master, you're really old. You don't have the spirit you had when you were young. Don't worry, after I pick this magical medicine and sell it to those ancient powers, you won't be short of a share of benefits. Fan Xian didn't plan on coming back. Saber Master's expression became gloomy. Fan Xian walked in front of the magical medicine and reached out to grab it. Lin Feng and the others watched nervously, but Fan Xian didn't seem to be in any danger. Just as Fan Xian was about to pick the 10,000-year-old magical medicine, something terrifying happened. Everyone saw that Fan Xian's body was aging at a speed visible to the naked eye. He was originally a young man in his 20s, but in the blink of an eye, he became a middle-aged man in his 40s. In the next moment, he became an old man with a hunched back. His entire body was withered like a candle in the wind. No! Fan Xian looked at his own hands and body in disbelief. He let out an extremely terrified cry. A gust of wind blew, and Fan Xian fell to the ground. Time was the quickest thing to do. In just a few breaths' time, Fanxian had turned from a young man in his 20s to an old man. He had lost all of his life force and died in front of the 10,000-year-old magical medicine, turning into a pile of bones. Chapter 183. Time made beauties grow old, and time made heroes pass their prime. But now, Fanxian's time and life had been taken away by an unknown force. Lin Feng and the others couldn't find words to describe how they felt when they saw a young man in his 20s turn into an old man in the blink of an eye. From the pale expressions on their faces, one could tell that at this very moment, everyone's hearts were extremely heavy. Saber Lord said, "I told you not to leave the group." "Fanxian, you died so tragically," shouted Zishao sorrowfully. It was obvious that Zishao and Fanxian had a good relationship. "Humph, take care of yourself. Whether or not you'll make it out alive is another matter. But you're actually in the mood to grieve for a dead man." "What a joke," sneered Saber Lord. His words made Zishao's face turn extremely pale. "Can we really make it out alive? We won't end up like Fanxian, will we? Will we die tragically here?" Laments could be heard coming from the group. Everyone's faces were ugly and worried. Lin Feng patted Zishao's shoulder and said, "The dead can't be brought back to life. My condolences." Zishao nodded. The two of them sat down on the ground. Zishao asked, "Brother, how should I address you?" "Lin Feng." "Zishao." The two of them introduced themselves and fell silent. Zishao said, "Fanxian and I are both outer sect disciples of the Qingyang sect. We came here to pay our respects to the Undying Mountains, but we didn't think that Fanxian would die here." The Qingyang sect was one of the top powers in the East Province. It was an ancient power that could contend with the 10 great ancient cities of the East Province. Zishao and Fanxian had to be extremely strong to become outer sect disciples of the Qingyang sect. Of course, the Undying Mountains were a terrifying place that could bury the ancestors of ancient dynasties. "In this place, anyone could die," Lin Feng said. "I hope we can make it out alive." After resting for 4 hours, Saber Lord said, "It's time to go." Everyone got up and continued to follow behind Saber Lord. Suddenly, a cultivator at the back of the group let out a miserable cry. He fell to the ground and started twitching violently. What happened? What's wrong with him? Everyone's expression changed drastically. Suddenly, tiny creatures crawled out from the soil. There was no telling how many of them there were, but they covered the body of the fallen cultivator. In a few breaths of time, only a skeleton was left of the cultivator. Then, the second cultivator fell to the ground. "Save me! Save me!" He screamed in horror and reached out to everyone for help. "Let's go!" Saber Lord shouted in a deep voice as he quickly ran forward. No one dared to stay, nor did they dare to help. The scene just now was too terrifying. A living cultivator turned into a skeleton in an instant. He didn't know what those blood-red creatures were. Everyone quickly ran forward, and the blood-red creatures covered the second cultivator's body. Soon, the second cultivator was only left with a pile of bones, and the blood-red creatures drilled into the ground and disappeared without a trace. "It's too scary. It's really too scary. It's like hell on earth." Everyone felt their blood run cold. The Undying Mountain Range was full of dangers. They could lose their lives here at any time. "Damn it, if I can go back alive, I won't come to such a dangerous place in the future," someone said fiercely. Saber Lord sneered and said, "If you have the energy, why don't you talk less and conserve more energy? With more energy, you might have a better chance of getting out alive than others." The fog became thicker and thicker, and the blood-red moon in the sky became even more demonic. In the forest, a cold wind blew. Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but shiver. It was a cold wind that was difficult to resist. It was so cold that it penetrated into people's bones. "Saber Lord, how long will it take for us to get out?" a cultivator asked in a trembling voice. This was something that everyone wanted to know. Everyone looked at Saber Lord. "Maybe after 6 or 7 more mountains, we should be able to get out," Saber Lord said. Everyone's expression became more and more unsightly. After 6 or 7 mountains, how many dangers would they encounter on the way? Boom! Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound came from the distance. Everyone turned to look. They saw the Milky Way fall from the sky. What's that? Everyone looked at the Milky Way in confusion. First, it was the blood-red moon, then the Milky Way. The undying mountain range was too strange. The Milky Way fell from the ninth heaven and connected with an ancient abyss in the depths of the undying mountain range. Heavens! What's that? Suddenly, someone shouted in horror and pointed at the Milky Way world. In the Milky Way world, a few people appeared. No, to be precise, not all of them were people. Among them was a middle-aged cultivator and a woman. They were both from the human tribe. However, there was also a silver-haired cultivator who looked similar to the human tribe, but had 2 horns on his head. The fourth person was a man with a pair of wings on his back. In the Milky Way that fell from the ninth heaven, 4 mysterious cultivators appeared out of nowhere. Their clothes were very ancient, and they obviously didn't belong to this era. Are they all dead? Zishao muttered. This was because the 4 ancient cultivators had their eyes closed, and no life force could be felt from them. The Milky Way is falling corpses. The Milky Way is falling corpses. It's a great omen. Run. Saber Lord shouted in horror and took the lead to run into the distance. Now, the surrounding fog lingered, and Saber Lord disappeared in an instant. Lin Feng and the others quickly chased after him, but Saber Lord was already gone. Ah! Suddenly, a cultivator let out a scream. He looked at the Milky Way world and let out a low growl. He ran towards the Milky Way world. As he ran, his body quickly dried up and soon became a dried corpse. He fell to the ground and died. Heavens, what's going on? Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Everything that happened in front of them was too terrifying. The cultivator just now seemed to have been summoned by the Milky Way world. Roar, roar, roar. Another 3 cultivators ran uncontrollably towards the Milky Way world. Soon, they also became 3 dried corpses. Their flesh and blood seemed to have been sucked dry. Everyone was terrified to the extreme. In the face of death, no one could remain calm. Roar. Lin Feng also let out a low growl. He felt that he couldn't control his body and wanted to rush towards the Milky Way world. Brother Lin, don't. Zishao hugged Lin Feng and quickly took out the pendant hanging on his body. It was a golden ancient Buddha. Gu Shao bit his finger and dripped his blood on it. Namo Amitba, the golden ancient Buddha suddenly said. The golden Buddha's light illuminated the sky. Lin Feng's mind floated out of a black chi and dissipated in the void. He came back to his senses and broke out in cold sweat. It was really too dangerous. If he had really run towards the Milky Way world, he might have become a dried corpse like the others. Chapter 184. Roar. 2 more cultivators could no longer control their bodies. They let out deep roars and rushed toward the falling Milky Way world. Their bodies gradually dried up and finally, they turned into 2 dried corpses and fell to the ground. Quick, hide under the Buddha's light. Zishao shouted loudly. The rest of the people didn't dare to hesitate. They quickly ran over and hid under the Buddha's light. The Buddha's light protected everyone. No one rushed towards the Milky Way world like the others before. Brother Z, thank you so much. Lin Feng said gratefully. You're welcome. Zishao revealed a rather ugly smile. Although Zizhao's golden Buddha had protected everyone, this was only temporary. The undying mountain range was full of danger. Everyone was still worried that other dangers would come. Zizhao's face was naturally full of worry. Are there only 10 of us left? Lin Feng muttered. The rest are dead. A middle-aged cultivator said in a low voice. Dao Kuei abandoned us and ran away. Another cultivator said fiercely. We can't stay here for long. Let's go. Lin Feng said. The group of 10 quickly left. They were far away from the place where the Milky Way world had fallen. Phew. After running for 30 miles, everyone finally found a place to rest. Zishao put the golden Buddha into his arms. Lin Feng said, Brother Z, this treasure of yours is really powerful. Zishao said, This is the last thing my mother left me. Zizhao's mother was probably no longer alive. His voice was very low. Lin Feng patted Zizhao's shoulder. Let's find a place to rest for the night. Hopefully, we can survive this night. It might be safer if we travel during the day. One of the cultivators said. Everyone nodded. Everyone planned to find a secluded place to hide. Roar! At this moment, a low roar came from the forest. Then, an extremely terrifying aura spread throughout the forest. In the darkness, a ferocious beast stepped out. It was a silver ferocious beast. Its body was huge, at least 10 meters tall and 20 meters long. Its entire body was covered in thick silver-white scales. That ferocious beast had a ferocious and terrifying head and sharp fangs. Its eyes were pale green as it coldly stared at Lin Feng and the others. After seeing this ferocious beast, everyone felt their scalps tingle. This ferocious beast made everyone feel suffocated. It was as if he was facing an undefeatable god. Lin Feng wanted to run away, but he found that his feet were like lead, and he couldn't lift them at all. It's over. The situation of the others was not much better. Everyone's face was incomparably pale and bloodless, and their expressions were filled with incomparable despair. Everyone's body was trembling violently. The ferocious beast walked towards them step by step. Rumble. At this moment of life and death, the ground suddenly shook violently. In the depths of the undying mountain range, smoke and dust rose everywhere. Roar. The ferocious beast let out a terrified cry, turned around, and fled into the forest, disappearing without a trace. The pressure that the ferocious beast brought to Lin Feng and the others disappeared without a trace. Everyone let out a long breath, but soon they felt their hair stand on end. Because, in the depths of the undying mountain range, some terrifying existence seemed to have rushed out. That ferocious beast was scared away by the terrifying existence that rushed out from the depths of the undying mountain range. Look, isn't that a huge army? Zishao pointed at the depths of the mountain range and said in horror. Lin Feng and the others looked over and saw a terrifying scene. They saw an army rushing out from the smoke and dust. It was unknown how many people there were in that army. They wore pitch-black armor and held spears in their hands. A thick aura of death permeated the air. An army of the dead. It's the legendary army of the dead. Rumor has it that an army of the dead appears in the undying mountain range. No one knows where they come from, but they reap all lives. Someone once saw this huge army of the dead wandering around the periphery of the undying mountain range, as if they wanted to rush out, but in the end, they retreated and disappeared. We must have encountered this army of the dead. A cultivator cried out in horror. Wherever the army of the dead passed, all living things would die. Hurry up and run. Terrified cries came from afar. They should be the survivors who had been swept into the undying mountain range and had now encountered the army of the dead. No, I don't want to die. An extremely terrified cry was heard, but it soon disappeared. Those cultivators had probably been killed by the army of the dead. Roar. Following that, an earth-shattering roar of a beast was heard, causing the mountains to shake. This was a ferocious beast whose strength was unimaginably terrifying. But soon, the beast's aura disappeared. Dead, they're all dead. Even such a powerful beast is dead. The army of the dead is coming out. We're all dead. A cultivator cried out in despair, his whole body trembling. The shadow of death loomed over everyone's heart. Hide, there's a cave over there. Quick, let's hide. Lin Feng pointed a few dozen meters away. He saw a cave. Everyone ran towards the cave in a panic. Lin Feng moved a gigantic stone and blocked the entrance of the cave. Rumble. The ground shook violently. The army of the dead was rushing out from the depths of the cave. Hold your breath and wait for the army of the dead to pass. Don't make any noise, Lin Feng said in a low voice. Everyone nodded and quickly held their breaths. Then, they leaned against the walls of the cave, not daring to move. Rumble. Rumble. The ground shook violently. Lin Feng was at the entrance of the cave. Through the gap between the cave and the huge rock, he saw the huge army of the dead rushing into the distance. Wherever the army of the dead passed, not a single blade of grass grew. Countless plants withered in an instant, as if all their vitality had been sucked away by the army of the dead. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. This army of the dead was too terrifying. Finally, the army of the dead rushed into the distance and disappeared without a trace. Are we safe now? Zishao asked. They seem to have left. I don't know if the army of the dead will start searching. Lin Feng said. Let's not go out. Let's hide here and hope we can avoid this disaster, a cultivator said. Everyone agreed that it was too dangerous outside. Lin Feng nodded and said, everyone is tired. Lean against the wall and rest. Everyone began to rest. Bang! However, for hours later, a loud sound was heard, and the rock blocking the entrance of the cave shattered. In the next moment, an undead wearing black armor and holding a blood saber rushed in. Chapter 185. It's an undead soldier. Lin Feng was the first to regain his senses and shouted loudly. The rest of the people were also awakened. Seeing the undead soldier rushing in, they all had an incomparably terrified expression. The pitch-black armor worn by the undead soldier was already in tatters. Some parts of its body were even exposed, emitting a foul smell. But even so, this undead soldier was still terrifying. The aura it emitted was suffocating. The undead soldier waved its blood blade and slashed towards a cultivator. Ah, my life is over. That cultivator let out a terrified cry, his entire body trembling. Clang. At the critical moment, Lin Feng made his move. He waved the black dragon sword and fiercely collided with the blood blade in the undead soldier's hand. The undead soldier's strength was too terrifying. It actually sent Lin Feng flying. With a loud bang, Lin Feng's body fiercely hit the rock wall. A wave of intense pain swept through his body. Hurry up and run. Two of the cultivators screamed in horror and ran outside. No, don't go out, Lin Feng roared. But it was already impossible to stop the two cultivators. The two cultivators were also unable to escape. The undead soldier was simply a terrifying death god that harvested lives. It waved the blood blade in its hand. Puff puff. The two cultivators' heads were directly chopped off. Headless corpses soared into the sky. The two cultivators died tragically on the spot. Heavens! Everyone felt their scalps go numb. The undead soldier was too powerful. Although it was only one undead soldier, it still made everyone feel despair. Let's attack together. Today, either he dies or we die. Facing the crisis of life and death, Lin Feng became calmer. He took a deep breath, held the black dragon sword with both hands, and once again charged towards the undead soldier. Kill him. As for the rest of the people, the ruthlessness in their bones was also stimulated. At the moment of life and death, they could only fight with their lives on the line. Only then would they have a chance of survival. Otherwise, only death would await them. Swish. Everyone took out their weapons and charged towards the undead soldier. In the cave, a cold light rippled. Hee hee hee. The undead soldier let out a burst of sinister laughter. That laughter sent chills down one's spine. Facing the siege of Lin Feng and the others, the undead soldier waved the blood saber in his hand. With one move, he swept away an army and sent everyone flying. Terrifying, too terrifying. It was simply impossible to resist. This caused everyone to feel a deep sense of despair. The undead soldier swung his blade at a cultivator. Ancient Buddha, Zishao roared. He took out the golden ancient Buddha and used his blood to paint the ancient Buddha's body. Namo Amitba. At this moment, the golden ancient Buddha spoke again. The light of Buddha shone upon the earth. Ah! When the Buddhist light shone on the undead soldiers were affected. They stretched out a hand in front of their eyes, not daring to look at the Buddhist light. Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Feng moved. He held the black dragon sword with both hands. An all-out attack. Puff. A tearing sound could be heard. The black dragon sword directly chopped off the head of the undead soldier. After the head was chopped off, the undead soldier did not die. The head flew in midair, opened its mouth, and bit at Lin Feng. At the same time, the headless undead soldier waved the blood saber in his hand and slashed at Lin Feng. Puff. A middle-aged cultivator threw the battle spear in his hand and nailed the undead soldier's head to the rock wall. Lin Feng waved the black dragon sword and blocked the headless undead soldier's attack. Without its head, the undead soldier's strength weakened a lot. When Lin Feng collided with the undead soldier again, he clearly felt this. The undead soldier was pushed back by his attack. Quick, chop off the undead soldier's limbs. Lin Feng shouted. The others came to their senses and quickly attacked. Everyone attacked together. Puff, 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 puff. The undead soldier's limbs were chopped off, but it did not die. Its body was wriggling. Moreover, its limbs and body seemed to want to merge back together. This is an undead soldier. We can't kill it at all. Its body will merge back together again. We can't stop it at all. The middle-aged cultivator said in a low voice, "Use a dagger to nail its body to the ground." Lin Feng said in a low voice. Someone nodded and followed Lin Feng's instructions. The undead soldier's limbs and torso were nailed to the ground. What do we do now? A cultivator asked with a pale face. Lin Feng said, "We can't stay here any longer. We have to leave quickly." But there must be a lot of undead outside. Another cultivator said with an ugly expression, "Smear some of this undead soldier's blood on your body. Hopefully, we can use it to avoid the undead search." Lin Feng said, "This was a good idea. If they were tainted with the undead's aura, they might be able to deceive the other undead soldiers." Everyone began to move. Zishao said, "This smell is really unpleasant." Indeed, as Zishao said, the undead soldier's blood emitted a foul smell. However, in order to survive, they could only endure. Everyone quickly rushed out. In the forest, black fog lingered. "Look, there are undead soldiers over there." A cultivator pointed in the distance. More than 10 undead soldiers rushed over. Everyone's expression changed. "Hide and play dead. Don't breathe," Lin Feng said in a low voice. They hid in a pile of trees. A group of undead rushed over and walked past them. Everyone felt as if their hearts were about to jump out. Fortunately, they managed to avoid the pursuit of this wave of undead creatures. It seemed that smearing undead blood on one's body was a good idea. That night, Lin Feng and the others avoided more than 10 waves of undead soldiers. The sky gradually began to brighten. The blood moon hanging in the sky seemed to be disappearing. However, the fog in the forest was getting thicker. Lin Feng missed the fire Qilin very much. He didn't know where it had been swept to. If it was by his side, with the fire Qilin's experience, it might be able to bring everyone out. Suddenly, one of the cultivators screamed. He fell to the ground. Everyone quickly ran over. They found that the cultivator was completely unharmed and had died silently. They didn't know what had happened. What terrifying thing has happened again? Run! Run quickly! The rest of the people shouted in fear and quickly ran into the distance. There were continuous screams. Clearly, they had all met with misfortune. "Let's go quickly," Lin Feng said. He and Zishao quickly rushed into the distance. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a terrifying force coming towards him. The fog was too thick. He couldn't see clearly what was attacking him. Lin Feng used his golden wings and quickly moved dozens of meters away to avoid the attack. There was a scream. It was Zizhao's voice. Then, the forest returned to normal. The person who had attacked seemed to have disappeared. Lin Feng quickly rushed to Zishao, who had already fallen to the ground. "Brother Z, are you okay?" Lin Feng picked up Zizhao's body. "Brother Lin, I'm afraid I can't make it. My parents died when I was young. Now, I only have a little sister left. Brother Lin, please help me take care of her. Take my jade pendant. My father gave it to me." Zishao stuffed a jade pendant into Lin Feng's hand. After that, there was no sign of life. "Brother Z, how could this be?" shouted Lin Feng. Very quickly, Lin Feng realized that something was wrong. The golden Buddha statue Zishao had been wearing around his neck had disappeared. The Buddha statue disappeared. Was it someone? Lin Feng thought of a possibility. Someone must have tried to kill them all and steal Zizhao's golden Buddha statue. That golden Buddha statue had been very powerful. It had helped Lin Feng and the others many times. Who was it? Who was it? Lin Feng clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with endless anger. They had wanted to kill everyone for the golden Buddha statue. Zishao had died tragically because of that. "I will find this person. I will kill him." Lin Feng clenched his teeth. He still remembered when he had lost control of the Milky Way world and had rushed towards it. Zishao had saved his life. He still remembered that handsome and clean smile. Now, Zishao had turned into a cold corpse. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with tears. Who said that men didn't cry? Chapter 186. Lin Feng buried Zizhao's body in the undying mountain range. With Qingshan as your companion, my friend, have a safe journey. I will definitely take good care of your sister. Lin Feng clutched the jade pendant Zishao had given him before he died. He traveled alone. In order to survive, he had to face countless unimaginable dangers. But Lin Feng knew. He had to persevere. In the darkness, undead soldiers appeared from time to time. They were death gods in the darkness, harvesting lives. Lin Feng avoided the undead army's search. Finally, dawn arrived. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk an earth-shattering sound rang out, and the earth shook. The undead army gathered again and rushed into the depths of the undying mountain range. Lin Feng hid in the dark, not even daring to breathe. This undead army was too mysterious and too terrifying. No one knew where they came from. Smoke and dust rose. The undead army finally disappeared from sight. The blood moon hanging in the 9 heavens gradually descended. That blood moon rose from the depths of the undying mountain range. Lin Feng was shocked. Why was it not in the depths of the undying mountain range? Why would a moon rise? But no one could tell Lin Feng the answer. Perhaps this was the horror of the undying mountain range? This was a place of death that was so demonic that it made one's soul tremble. The black fog drifting in the forest also gradually disappeared. In the morning, the occasional chirping of insects and birds could be heard. It was just that in the undying mountain range, it was not pleasant to the ears. Lin Feng was very careful because the undying mountain range was too dangerous. Even during the day, he did not dare to be careless. Roar. In the distance, there was a low roar. A beast appeared. It was a giant flaming beast, 100 meters tall. Its body was surrounded by raging flames. It was unknown what race it was, but it was abnormally terrifying. Lin Feng hid behind a boulder and observed the flaming beast. It was definitely an unimaginably terrifying existence. During the day, it began to move. The forest suddenly became quiet. There was a deathly silence. No one dared to make a sound in front of such a terrifying beast. In the end, the flame beast left and entered the depths of the undying mountain range. Whoosh! Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. That flame beast had given him too much pressure. Fortunately, that flame beast quickly left. Lin Feng didn't dare to stay and continued to walk outside. After walking a few hundred meters, he heard a rustling sound. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He thought that a terrifying beast had appeared. He pulled out the black dragon sword and looked behind him with a grave expression. "Come out!" Lin Feng shouted coldly. However, the forest became quiet. "If you don't come out, I'm going to attack." Lin Feng brandished the black dragon sword and slashed out. A sword chi flew out and instantly chopped a large tree into two. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a figure flashed out from behind the tree. "It's you." Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect a young girl to be following behind him. Ji Yuhan, the little princess of the Great Zhou Empire, one of the 4 ancient empires. Humph! Ji Yuhan snorted unhappily and looked at Lin Feng warily. Ji Yuhan was slightly younger than Lin Feng. She was about 13 or 14 years old. At this moment, she seemed to be in a sorry state. Clearly, after being swept into the undying mountain range, she had encountered some trouble. It wasn't easy for her to survive until now alone. "Are you going out with me?" Lin Feng asked. Ji Yuhan nodded slightly. She carefully walked towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. "What are you afraid of?" "There were a few bad cultivators yesterday," Ji Yuhan couldn't help but say. It seemed that she had encountered other cultivators. "What happened to those cultivators?" Lin Feng asked. "They were eaten by a giant beast." Ji Yuhan snorted. "You're quite lucky to be able to escape," Lin Feng said. "Those bad people wanted to bully me, so I summoned a beast to eat them. If you dare to bully me, I'll summon a beast to eat you too." Ji Yuhan snorted. Hearing Ji Yuhan's words, Lin Feng almost fell to the ground. Could it be that this innocent girl was hiding a black-bellied heart? Ji Yuhan followed behind Lin Feng and asked, "What's your name?" "Lin Feng. I'm your Ji Yuhan. Do you know me? I've heard of you. You're the apple of the great Zhou Emperor's eye." "Humph." Ji Yuhan snorted noncommittally. "Where's your elder brother?" asked Lin Feng. He was thinking about Ji Ming Tian, that terrifying cultivator. "I don't know. When I woke up, I didn't see him." Ji Yuhan sighed and said, "How long will it take for us to get out? I'm so scared here." Lin Feng said, "Maybe soon." "Really?" Ji Yuhan asked excitedly. "I hope so." Lin Feng shrugged. "You're lying. I don't want to talk to you anymore." Ji Yuhan snorted. The sky gradually darkened. The blood moon rose into the sky, and black fog lingered around it. "We need to find a place to hide. Perhaps the undead army will appear soon," Lin Feng said in a low voice. Ji Yuhan thought of the undead army she saw last night, and her face paled. She reached out and grabbed Lin Feng's clothes, her body trembling slightly. Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan looked for a place to hide. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept over. Bang! The wind swept Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan into the air. A figure silently appeared and sent a palm strike towards Ji Yuhan. The person who attacked was too terrifying. The power contained in that palm seemed to be able to make the sky collapse in an instant. It was definitely an unimaginably strong existence. He seemed to have come specifically for Ji Yuhan. Bang! Ji Yuhan attacked, and her palm collided fiercely with the mysterious person. Then, Ji Yuhan was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. She spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. The black figure quickly flew towards Ji Yuhan, wanting to kill her. At that moment, a golden figure quickly rushed in front of Ji Yuhan and hugged her. It was Lin Feng. He flapped his golden wings and quickly retreated. The palm strike of the mysterious existence landed in mid-air. "You're courting death," the man in black said coldly. His eyes flashed with killing intent. He was about to attack again, but at that moment, a rumbling sound came from the depths of the undead mountain range. The undead army had appeared. The mysterious person's expression changed slightly. He hesitated for a moment, then flew away. Lin Feng didn't dare stay either. He quickly left with the injured Ji Yuhan. Chapter 187. In the darkness of the night, Lin Feng found a hidden cave. Now that the evil spirits had appeared again, they could only hide in a hidden cave to avoid being found by the evil spirits. The undying mountain range was even more terrifying in the dark. "How are you feeling?" Lin Feng looked at Ji Yuhan worriedly. Her face was extremely pale. The person who had attacked Ji Yuhan was too strong. Ji Yuhan had been able to block his attack without dying, which was enough to show how strong she was. However, she was still injured. "I'm in pain." Ji Yuhan's face was scrunched up because of the pain. Her eyes were filled with tears. "With your background, you should have some precious medicine to heal your injuries. Quickly take it out and eat it," Lin Feng reminded her. Ji Yuhan came back to her senses and quickly took out a porcelain bottle. She poured out a pill and ate it. Her face became a little rosier. Of course, she still needed some time to fully recover. "Do you know who the person who wants to kill you is?" Lin Feng asked. Ji Yuhan shook her head. Lin Feng thought about Zi Zhao's tragic death. Someone had killed him and stolen his golden Buddha. Could it be that the mysterious person wanted to kill Ji Yuhan to steal her treasures? Or did he have other motives? Of course, that was only Lin Feng's guess. He didn't know the exact reason. "You should rest well," said Lin Feng. Ji Yuhan nodded. She was indeed very tired and injured. She needed to rest. She blushed and said, "Can you lean on me? I'm scared." Lin Feng sat beside Ji Yuhan. Ji Yuhan lay in Lin Feng's arms. Her face was pink, and she was obviously a little shy. However, only by leaning on Lin Feng did she feel a little relieved. Ji Yuhan quickly fell asleep. Lin Feng didn't fall asleep until late at night. However, this night wasn't peaceful at all. The roars of beasts shook the sky. It seemed as if there were powerful beasts and the undead army engaged in a crazy battle, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. In the undying mountain range, there were many ferocious beasts with strength comparable to human supreme experts. After encountering the undead army, these ferocious beasts naturally wouldn't flee like ordinary ferocious beasts. These powerful ferocious beasts had their own dignity. Hence, Lin Feng wasn't surprised that a war broke out. This battle seemed to involve a lot of things. More than one powerful beast had come out to fight. The next day, when Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan came out, they found that the surrounding forest had been completely destroyed. It was a scene of devastation. The battle between the beasts and the undead last night should have been quite tragic. Whether it was the undead or the dire beasts, they were all extremely terrifying forces in the Death Impasse. They were obviously fighting for the ownership of the Death Impasse. During the day, Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan continued on their journey. Because Ji Yuhan was injured, Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan didn't walk very fast. In the evening, Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan saw a huge battle. It was a battle between more than 10 cultivators and a living creature in the Death Impasse. It was a living creature shrouded in darkness. It was unknown what race it was, but its speed was extremely fast. Swish! That ferocious beast seemed to be able to teleport. In an instant, it appeared in front of a cultivator and slapped out with its claw. Bang! That cultivator was sent flying and died on the spot. That ferocious beast was too terrifying. It killed that cultivator in an instant. Run! These cultivators fled in a sorry state. However, that ferocious beast shrouded in darkness looked at these fleeing cultivators with a playful gaze like a cat playing with a mouse. It chased after them at a leisurely pace. Every time it attacked, a cultivator would be killed by that terrifying living creature. One cultivator after another was killed. More than 10 cultivators weren't enough to kill that ferocious beast. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 people left. These 3 people were an old man, a middle-aged cultivator, and a beautiful woman in her 30s. The old man used some unknown secret technique and his body exploded into a bloody mist. He flew into the distance and disappeared in the blink of an eye. As for the middle-aged cultivator, he drilled into the ground. It was the earth escape technique. The middle-aged cultivator wanted to use the earth escape technique to escape. However, that ferocious beast shrouded in black mist slapped the ground. A terrifying force slammed into the ground. Puff! A pool of blood spurted out. The cultivator who had escaped into the ground was killed. Only the beautiful woman was left. That terrifying ferocious beast charged towards the beautiful woman. Unwilling to be killed, she counterattacked with all her might. However, she was still sent flying. The beautiful woman's strength was clearly not ordinary. She wasn't killed by that mysterious ferocious beast's claw. However, her current situation wasn't good. After being attacked by the ferocious beast, she could no longer control her body. Her body fell towards the ground. That mysterious ferocious beast pounced towards the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman's face was filled with despair. Just as the beautiful woman was about to be killed by the ferocious beast, a golden figure rushed out like lightning. The beautiful woman felt her small waist being held by someone. In the next moment, she was already dozens of meters away. The beautiful woman didn't think that she was still alive. She looked up and saw a delicate and young face. Don't fly at high altitudes. The undying mountain range is shrouded in a powerful restriction. Once touched, even a yin-yang expert will be instantly killed. The beautiful woman reminded him. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't think that there would be such a terrifying restriction above the undying mountain range. He quickly lowered his altitude, flapped his golden wings, and flew to Ji Yuhan's side. He hugged the beautiful woman with his left hand and Ji Yuhan with his right. They quickly flew away. The ferocious beast shrouded in black fog roared, but it couldn't catch up with Lin Feng. When night fell again, Lin Feng couldn't find a hidden cave. He only found a relatively hidden mountain stream. It was at the junction of 2 mountains, but it was very small. It could only fit 3 people. However, as long as they blocked the entrance with stones, nobody would be able to find them. We'll hide here for a night. It's been a tiring night. In 2 or 3 days, we'll be able to leave the undying mountain range. Lin Feng said. All right. Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman nodded. Lin Feng told them to go in first, but at that moment, 2 people appeared in the distance. They were 2 young cultivators who seemed to be in their 20s. It was obvious that they were looking for a place to hide because it was going to be completely dark soon. The two of you, we've already occupied this place. Please find another place, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, F***CK, what bad luck. Let's go somewhere else. The cultivator in blue clothes said. The other cultivator in white clothes said, Why are we leaving? Look, one big and one small, two top-grade beauties. We can't believe we're able to meet such beauties in this damned place. We're really lucky. The cultivator in blue clothes also looked at Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman. His eyes were filled with lust. The cultivator in blue clothes laughed mischievously. We've been suppressed in this damned place for so long. We can finally vent. He looked gloomily at Lin Feng and smiled nastily. Boy, you can scram now. If you don't know what's good for you, we brothers will let you taste a fate worse than death. Chapter 188. Obviously, these two cultivators were plotting against Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman was called Dan Taixian. She had a voluptuous figure, long legs, a slender waist, and a pair of luxurious twin peaks. Moreover, her face was extremely beautiful, and her entire body exuded a seductive charm like a ripe peach. Any man who saw such a beautiful woman would have some beastly thoughts. As for Ji Yuhan, although she was young, her body had already matured. She had an exquisite face and a tall figure. In a place like the Undying Mountain Range, there was no one to restrain him. It seemed to be quite normal for him to have evil thoughts after encountering such a beautiful woman. If Lin Feng chose to leave, the injured Ji Yuhan and Dan Taixian would definitely not be a match for these two people. At that time, they would definitely be killed. Lin Feng naturally would not do such a thing. Lin Feng sneered and said, Leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Brat, I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Since that's the case, I'll let you die here today. The blue-clothed cultivator laughed sinisterly. Hee, I'll deal with this brat. The white-clothed cultivator sneered and stepped forward. Obviously, this person did not put Lin Feng in his eyes. Boom. The white-clothed cultivator punched towards Lin Feng. A thunderous sound rang out from the void. The white-clothed cultivator's strength was too terrifying. With a punch, there was a huge sonic boom. One could imagine how powerful this punch was. Lin Feng also attacked and punched towards the white-clothed cultivator. Bang! The two of them fiercely collided. In an instant, Lin Feng felt a terrifying force that could destroy everything enter his body. That terrifying force seemed to want to destroy all of his vitality. Lin Feng felt as if he had been struck by lightning and was directly sent flying. General! Lin Feng's body fiercely hit the rock wall. He felt intense pain all over his body, as if his bones were falling apart. This white-clothed cultivator was actually a general realm expert. Rumor had it that a cultivator at the first heaven of a general realm had a strength of 1 billion. A cultivator at this level would condense a dragon in his body. The strength of one dragon was equivalent to 1 billion gene of strength. As for Lin Feng, even if he fully activated his 3 devouring martial spirits, his strength was only 150 million. Compared to this white-clothed cultivator, the gap was too great. Lin Feng, how are you? When Ji Yuhan saw that Lin Feng had been blown away, her face turned deathly pale. She was extremely worried. I'm fine. Lin Feng shook his head. A brat in the martial master realm actually survived my attack? The white-clothed cultivator's face, Taoist, 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 Taoist Lin, Taoist Lin Feng, Taoist, 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 Taoist. But Lin Feng's skill was the ancient Dracophant formula, a skill which defied the laws of the universe. Although his cultivation was still at the martial master realm, his physical body was strong. His physical body might even be stronger than a general realm cultivator. It was not inconceivable for him to be able to block the white-clothed cultivator's attack. However, in the eyes of outsiders, this kind of thing was too shocking. A general realm cultivator is not a big deal. Lin Feng said with a sneer. Brat, you still dare to be stubborn? The white-clothed cultivator's face suddenly darkened. The blue-clothed cultivator curled his lips and said, How much time will it take to deal with a martial master brat? If you can't do it, let me do it. I guarantee that I'll take his life in one move. Whether it was the blue-clothed cultivator or the white-clothed cultivator, it was obvious that they looked down on Lin Feng. They were all martial general realm experts, and Lin Feng was only a martial master. It was naturally as easy as crushing an ant for a general to deal with a martial master. As for Ji Yuhan and Dan Taixian, they were directly ignored by the blue-clothed cultivator and the white-clothed cultivator. They could naturally see that Ji Yuhan and Dan Taixian were injured and did not have much fighting strength. "Brat, die." The white-clothed cultivator sneered. He did not want to waste time and wanted to get rid of Lin Feng as soon as possible. The white-clothed cultivator quickly rushed over and fiercely attacked Lin Feng with a powerful palm. Roar. The white-clothed cultivator's body actually emitted a dragon's roar. This was the strength of a dragon. It was a huge force of 1 billion jin. It was used by the white-clothed cultivator. Obviously, the white-clothed cultivator wanted to kill Lin Feng with one palm. Facing the white-clothed cultivator's terrifying attack, Lin Feng felt the aura of death. Pressure. An unprecedented pressure. This was the first time he was facing a general realm expert alone. Devouring martial spirit, spatial magnetic field. Lin Feng activated his devouring martial spirit and activated his 3 devouring martial spirits. The 3 spatial magnetic fields overlapped and directly enveloped the white-clothed cultivator. This is a martial spirit? There's such a strange martial spirit? The white-clothed cultivator was slightly surprised. Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit had an extremely strong sealing power. However, the white-clothed cultivator was too strong. Lin Feng's 3 spatial magnetic fields did not have much of an effect on him. The white-clothed cultivator stepped forward. He fiercely punched towards Lin Feng. Bang! The two of them collided again. This time, it was the same as the first time. Facing the white-clothed cultivator's terrifying attack of 1 billion jin, Lin Feng could not resist at all. He was sent flying again. Clang! Lin Feng fiercely crashed into the rock wall again. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his face was very pale. He's not dead yet? The white-clothed cultivator's face was extremely gloomy. The blue-clothed cultivator said impatiently, "It's actually so troublesome to deal with a martial master ant." The white-clothed cultivator said in a deep voice, "Don't underestimate this kid. This kid is a little strange." As soon as he finished speaking, the white-clothed cultivator quickly rushed out and instantly arrived in front of Lin Feng. He grabbed Lin Feng's neck and lifted him up, wanting to break Lin Feng's neck. "Kid, it's time to end everything." The white-clothed cultivator laughed sinisterly, as if he could already see the scene of Lin Feng's neck being broken and dying miserably. Suddenly, the white-clothed cultivator let out a miserable scream. He hugged his head and screamed miserably, "My head hurts so much. My head is going to split open." The white-clothed cultivator roared and screamed as if he had gone mad. This scene shocked everyone. No one knew what was going on. "You're the one who's going to die." Lin Feng, who had struggled free from the white-clothed cultivator, laughed sinisterly and punched towards the white-clothed cultivator's chest. Bang! That powerful blow ruthlessly smashed into the white-robed cultivator's chest. Crack! Crack! The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The white-clothed cultivator's chest was directly caved in by Lin Feng's punch. The white-clothed cultivator flew backwards, spitting out a large mouthful of blood in mid-air. He fell to the ground, dead. A martial general expert had been killed by Lin Feng with a single punch. Chapter 189. Lu Chong. The blue-clothed cultivator cried out in disbelief. The dead white-clothed cultivator was called Lu Chong, and he was a first heavenly layer martial general. Even if he was only a cultivator of the first celestial layer, he could easily crush Lin Feng, who was a cultivator of the Qi layer, like an ant. However, the one who died was Lu Chong. It was all because Lu Chong had suddenly hugged his head and screamed in pain for some reason. Whether it was the blue-clothed cultivator, Ji Yuhan, or Dan Taixian, they were all from great powers, so they naturally knew of some mysterious and strange soul techniques. Soul secret technique. You actually cultivated a soul secret technique. The blue-clothed cultivator looked at Lin Feng with killing intent. He seemed to be worried that Lin Feng would suddenly use a soul secret technique to attack him. Therefore, he released his true qi and used it to protect his body. This way, he would be able to block Lin Feng's soul secret technique. Take this corpse and get the hell away from me. Lin Feng looked coldly at the blue-clothed cultivator. The blue-clothed cultivator laughed sinisterly. Kid, you can only hurt me with your soul secret technique. Now that I'm using my true qi to protect my body, how can you hurt me? How about this? Let's make a deal. What deal? Lin Feng asked. Give me the soul secret technique you cultivate, and I'll leave immediately, the blue-clothed cultivator said. Impossible. Lin Feng looked coldly at the blue-clothed cultivator. The soul sword secret technique was one of Lin Feng's supreme techniques, so he naturally would not teach it to others. Moreover, would the blue-clothed cultivator really let him go if he handed over the soul sword? In any case, Lin Feng did not believe the blue-clothed cultivator's words. It was not uncommon for cultivators to try and deceive each other. He had just handed over the cultivation method of the soul sword, and he might be attacked by the blue-clothed cultivator. A ferocious expression appeared on the blue-clothed cultivator's face. He laughed sinisterly and said, "Brat, you really don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, I'll personally capture you and torture you. I don't believe that you won't talk." As soon as he finished speaking, the blue-robed cultivator rushed towards Lin Feng with a sinister look on his face. Boom! The blue-clothed cultivator attacked with a punch at Lin Feng. This blue-clothed cultivator and the white-clothed cultivator killed by Lin Feng were both cultivators at the first firmament of the martial general realm. However, the blue-clothed cultivator seemed to be stronger. After witnessing Lin Feng kill off the white-clad cultivator, the blue-clad cultivator became very cautious. He used his primary energy to protect his body. Due to that, Lin Feng's secret soul technique became ineffective. The strength of soul secret techniques lay in the element of surprise, attacking the opponent when they were unprepared, harming the opponent's soul. Then, the attacker would suddenly burst out and kill the opponent. Now that the blue-clothed cultivator was on guard, it was very difficult to use soul secret techniques to harm him. Triple spatial magnetic field. Lin Feng continued to use his magnetic field. Even though he couldn't completely imprison the general, he was still able to imprison him. However, it could greatly reduce the opponent's speed. Your martial soul is really not simple. It can actually slow down my speed, but it's useless. You won't be able to escape today. The blue-clothed cultivator laughed sinisterly and quickly attacked. Ji Yuhan and Dan Taixian were burning with anxiety. They wanted to help, but because of their injuries, they couldn't circulate their primary energy and couldn't help at all. Qiongqi's treasured technique? Lin Feng shouted in a low voice. In the next moment, the Qiongqi's treasured technique appeared. A gigantic Qiongqi ferocious beast condensed and fused together with Lin Feng. Lin Feng was supported by the power of the Qiongqi's treasured technique. Bang! He threw a punch at the blue-clothed cultivator. The two of them fiercely collided. The earth shook and the mountains shook. That tyrannical collision caused the earth to shake violently. Thump, 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 thump. This time, Lin Feng wasn't blown away. He was only pushed back 4 steps, that's all. With Lin Feng's current cultivation and the Qiongqi's treasure technique, he was able to block the blue-clothed cultivator's attack. You actually have so many top-notch moves. The blue-clothed cultivator's eyes were filled with greed. Human greed was nothing more than this. The blue-clothed cultivator wanted to obtain Lin Feng's secret techniques the most. He didn't stop and attacked Lin Feng again. He used the great dragon capturing hand and grabbed at Lin Feng. It was like an ancient divine eagle's sharp claws grabbing a giant dragon. Lin Feng had the feeling that he couldn't dodge the attack of the blue-clothed cultivator. Lin Feng was about to be captured by the blue-clothed cultivator. At this moment, a pair of golden wings appeared on Lin Feng's back. Lin Feng used the golden wings. Swoosh! Almost as if he had teleported, he disappeared in front of the blue-clothed cultivator. Previously, when dealing with 2 cultivators at the martial general realm, it was almost certain that he would lose. But now, one of them had died. Lin Feng believed that with all his methods, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with one of them alone. How is this possible? The blue-clothed cultivator cried out in disbelief. With his perception, he actually couldn't sense how Lin Feng disappeared. In the next moment, Lin Feng appeared behind the blue-clothed cultivator and punched at him. Behind. The blue-clothed cultivator was worthy of being a martial general realm expert. His perception was extremely strong. He instantly sensed Lin Feng behind him and quickly punched at Lin Feng. With a loud bang, Lin Feng and the blue-clothed cultivator clashed again. This time, Lin Feng was sent flying by the blue-clothed cultivator. Lin Feng's face darkened. This blue-clothed cultivator was too difficult to deal with. He had even used the golden wings, but he was still unable to defeat him. It could be seen how terrifying a martial general realm expert was. Brat, die. The blue-clothed cultivator laughed sinisterly and attacked again. However, Lin Feng's golden wings suddenly shook and he disappeared again as if he had teleported. Relying on the speed of the golden wings, Lin Feng and the blue-clothed cultivator fought dozens of rounds. Lin Feng's attacks were all resolved by the blue-clothed cultivator. Although the blue-clothed cultivator was extremely powerful, his speed couldn't keep up with Lin Feng at all. It was also very difficult for him to hurt Lin Feng. Lin Feng had been looking for an opportunity. After dodging the blue-clothed cultivator's attack again, the blue-clothed cultivator gasped for breath. After continuously attacking for dozens of rounds, the blue-clothed cultivator had consumed a lot of energy. Of course, Lin Feng had also consumed a lot of energy. It depended on who could last longer. Lin Feng finally found an opportunity. Now, the blue-clothed cultivator had consumed a lot of energy after a series of battles. His strength, speed, and perception were all rapidly declining. Lin Feng appeared behind the blue-clothed cultivator again. This time, he didn't attack the blue-clothed cultivator. Instead, he quickly used a spirit array technique. Spirit array techniques were used by spirit array masters to attack. Lin Feng hadn't learned many spirit array techniques, and most of them were simple auxiliary spirit array techniques, such as the clear water technique, the flame technique, and so on. However, Lin Feng had also learned a few good spirit array techniques. One of them was called the entanglement technique. At this time, Lin Feng used the entanglement technique. High up in the sky, a high number of divine runes connected together, absorbing worldly powers to transform into strands of energy. The strands of energy then shot towards the blue-robed cultivator. If the blue-robed cultivator was still at his peak, he would have been able to break or evade the strands of energy. However, he had exhausted himself from the previous battles. His perception had fallen sharply. Thus, he could only sense the strands of energy that were coiling around him. Spirit array technique? You're also a spirit array master? The blue-clothed cultivator cried out in disbelief. There was a hint of fear in his eyes. Spirit array masters were mysterious to cultivators. The blue-clothed cultivator wanted to tear apart the threads that wrapped around him, but Lin Feng didn't give him the chance. Lin Feng was too fast. He instantly arrived in front of the blue-clothed cultivator and punched towards his chest. Bang! The powerful punch ruthlessly smashed into the blue-clothed cultivator's chest. Kacha-kacha! The blue-clothed cultivator's chest caved in and his body flew out. He spat out a large mouthful of blood in midair. His body slammed into the rock wall and fell to the ground. He was already dead. Before he died, his eyes were wide open in anger. It was as if he couldn't believe that he, a powerful martial general, had died at the hands of a martial master. Chapter 190. Huff, huff, huff. Lin Feng half-knelt on the ground. After killing 2 martial general realm experts, he had used all his techniques. To him, this was an intense consumption of energy. Lin Feng felt as if all the energy in his body had been sucked dry, and he felt weak. This was the first time Lin Feng had truly clashed head-on with martial general realm experts. Furthermore, he had fought 2 martial general realm experts one after another. This kind of huge consumption was unimaginable. Lin Feng felt very tired. Not only was his body weak, but he also felt extremely exhausted mentally. After resting for a while, Lin Feng felt that he had recovered some of his strength. At this moment, Ji Yuhan and Dan Taixian were looking at Lin Feng in shock. It wasn't just because Lin Feng had killed two powerful martial general realm experts as a martial master. It was also because Lin Feng was a spiritual array master. From the way Lin Feng had used the spiritual array technique just now, Lin Feng's attainments in spiritual arrays should be quite profound. This was what made them feel incredulous. Spiritual array masters were extremely difficult to achieve. To be able to use the spiritual array technique so skillfully in a life and death battle at such a young age, this kind of ability was not something an ordinary person could possess. In the future, Lin Feng might become a spiritual array master that would shake the 3,000 prefectures. You guys hide. I will go and throw these two corpses outside. We can't leave them here. As Lin Feng spoke, he stood up and grabbed the corpses of the blue-clothed and white-clothed cultivators. Then, he quickly rushed into the distance. After 15 minutes, he returned. Then, Lin Feng moved a huge rock over and blocked the entrance of the mountain stream. He also hid in the mountain stream. The mountain stream was narrow and could only accommodate 3 people. Ji Yuhan was hiding in the deepest part, the beautiful woman was hiding in the middle, and Lin Feng was at the outermost part. His body and the beautiful woman's hot body were pressed together, and Lin Feng could even smell the alluring body fragrance coming from the beautiful woman's body. Through her thin clothes, he could even feel the softness of the beautiful woman's body. Lin Feng and the beautiful woman were slightly embarrassed, but the situation was special now, so they pretended as if nothing had happened. When night fell, the roars of beasts resounded through the clouds. Terrifying beasts appeared one after another, standing at the peak of the mountain and roaring at the sky. The undying mountain range stretched on endlessly. Right now, the roars of the beasts could be heard from countless directions. This had never happened before. Nightfall was the time when the undead army was most active. Now, the roars of beasts shook the sky. It was really strange. The woman asked, could it be that these beasts intend to wage war against the undead army? When the beautiful woman spoke, she breathed out hot air on Lin Feng's neck, making Lin Feng feel restless. It's said that the undead army suddenly appeared in a certain era. They didn't belong to the undying mountain range, so their appearance naturally made the beasts of the undying mountain range unhappy. Not to mention, the undead are like death gods, harvesting lives. Many beasts have died at the hands of the undead army, which made the beasts of the undying mountain range even more unhappy. Lin Feng added. Later in the night, when the undead army appeared, an earth-shattering battle broke out. The undead army and the beasts of the undying mountain range clashed, and the sky was about to be pierced through. Lin Feng admired Ji Yuhan. She was curled up in the deepest part of the mountain and had fallen asleep. Lin Feng and the beautiful woman didn't feel sleepy at all. They peered through the cracks in the rocks. The mountain stream was already very crowded. Lin Feng had the impression 2 mountains were pressing against his chest. They were bouncy and bouncy. Lin Feng had the impression 2 mountains were pressing against his chest. Lin Feng was at the age where he was full of vigor. Although he had had intimate contact with Shangguan Feier before, he hadn't crossed the line. The only time he had truly interacted with a woman at such a close distance. It had to be traced back to the night when the 4 great clans of Qingyun City were fighting. Lin Feng had forcefully ravaged Su Yueshi. After tasting the forbidden fruit for the first time, he had never experienced that kind of nervousness and excitement again. It was as if he had ascended to the clouds. The beautiful woman in front of him was definitely the kind of woman who could arouse the most primitive desires in his heart. The beautiful woman was still looking outside. Lin Feng's hand slowly reached out and began to caress her. What are you doing? The beautiful woman's face immediately reddened. Only now did she notice that her body was completely pressed against Lin Feng's. This position was extremely awkward. The beautiful woman also seemed to sense the changes in Lin Feng's body. That caused her face to turn even redder. Huff! Huff! Lin Feng was panting heavily as he pressed the beautiful woman against the wall, blocking her red lips and ravaging her. The beautiful woman struggled. However, she did not dare to move too much. That was because Ji Yuhan was right beside them. Although Ji Yuhan was asleep, if she was disturbed, how could she face anyone? The beautiful woman was unable to struggle free and allowed Lin Feng to ravage her. Lin Feng started to become even more brazen. When the sound of clothes tearing came from below, the beautiful woman panicked. Naturally, she knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. He actually wanted to do it here. As she thought of that, the beautiful woman tried to push Lin Feng away. However, it was clear that the space was too small. The beautiful woman was unable to resist the violent and barbaric Lin Feng. To the beautiful woman, she had never imagined that such a day would come. In such a place, there was a young lady beside them. As for her, she was being ravaged by a young man who was much younger than her. After an unknown amount of time, everything was calm. Outside, the battle between the beasts and the undead army was still ongoing. After the initial feeling of flying into the clouds, the beautiful woman was in a daze. Her expression was extremely complicated. She could not imagine that the woman who had started to cater to Lin Feng would be her. Shouldn't she have been rejecting him? What's that smell? It smells so bad. Ji Yuhan woke up and wrinkled her nose with a puzzled expression. The beautiful woman's face was so red that it was almost dripping blood. She stammered, not knowing how to answer. Ji Yuhan was very good at reading people's expressions. She looked at the beautiful woman suspiciously. Lin Feng said, "Perhaps it drifted here from somewhere else." Ji Yuhan was very simple and did not think too much about it. Hearing the earth-shaking roars outside, Ji Yuhan asked in shock, "What's happening outside?" "The beasts and the undead army are fighting," Lin Feng said. Ji Yuhan's red lips parted slightly, looking very surprised. It was a very restless night. The surviving cultivators had all gone into hiding, not daring to come out in the middle of the night. The battle between the undead army and the beasts was obviously very fierce. Both sides fought for an entire night. It was only when the sky gradually brightened that the roars of the beasts and the undead army gradually dissipated. Finally, the undead army left. The beasts also went into hibernation. After the terrifying battle last night, the beasts needed to rest and recuperate. Chapter 191. In the ancient forest, Lin Feng and the other two were hurrying along. Basically, only Lin Feng and Ji Yuhan communicated. Ji Yuhan communicated with the beautiful woman. Lin Feng and the beautiful woman didn't communicate at all. After last night's craziness, the two of them seemed to be a little embarrassed. Of course, Lin Feng was thoroughly satisfied. As for the beautiful woman, she was naturally satisfied as well. However, as a woman, she was forcefully ravaged by Lin Feng, although her body couldn't resist and began to cooperate. However, she couldn't get over the psychological barrier. However, the beautiful woman was also somewhat puzzled. She had been forcefully ravaged by Lin Feng again and again. Why didn't she hate him? Along the way, Lin Feng and the other two could be considered lucky. Although they encountered some dangers, they were able to avoid them. At this moment, they arrived at the last mountain peak. When they climbed to the top of the mountain, they could vaguely see the scene outside. After crossing the last mountain, "We'll be out," Lin Feng said. Ji Yuhan said, "What a pity. I didn't even see the legendary immortal medicine of immortality." Rumor had it that the immortal medicine of immortality existed in the Undying Mountain range, but it was obvious that the immortal medicine of immortality wouldn't appear so easily. The Undying Mountains have a total of 99 mountains, and we've only been in the outermost 9. The dangers we've encountered so far aren't particularly frightening. If we had gone deeper into the mountains, we would have died before even walking a dozen meters. It's said that only great saints can escape death in those places. Otherwise, even emperors from ancient dynasties and holy leaders from ancient holy lands would die. If there really were immortal medicines of immortality, they would be in the most dangerous places. Lin Feng said, "Don't ask for the immortal medicine of immortality. Actually, being able to leave alive is already very lucky." The three of them continued on their way. In front of them, a huge cliff appeared, blocking their path. "I'll take you there," Lin Feng said. "No, it's forbidden to fly here, especially the cliffs of the Immortal Mountain range. I saw a strong cultivator try to fly over one of the cliffs, but because it's forbidden to fly, he fell into the depths of the cliff and died," said Lin Feng. The beautiful woman said. However, when she spoke, her pretty face was pink, and she still didn't dare to look at Lin Feng. Looking at the beautiful woman's tender, alluring, and charming appearance, Lin Feng discovered that he seemed to have developed that kind of desire. It had to be said that this beautiful woman was truly alluring. There's a stone bridge over there. Ji Yuhan suddenly pointed to a spot not far away. Lin Feng and the beautiful woman's eyes lit up. Let's go. We'll cross the bridge, Lin Feng said. The three of them arrived before the stone bridge. Lin Feng inspected the stone bridge and found that it was sturdy enough. The three of them stepped onto the stone bridge and walked towards the opposite shore. But at this moment, a terrifying aura surged out from the bottom of the cliff. Following that, endless black fog swept over. The entire cliff was shrouded in black fog. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Lin Feng and the other two changed greatly. Something's wrong, Run, Lin Feng shouted. Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman's expressions also changed as they quickly ran towards the opposite shore. At this moment, within the endless black fog, a terrifying existence flew up from the bottom of the abyss. It was wrapped in the black fog. It was impossible to see what kind of existence it was. They could only see a huge and demonic green eye. In the endless black fog, they could only see a pair of eyes that were so evil that it made their souls tremble. However, it was clear that this was a terrifying creature born from the black fog. What is this? The beautiful woman's face was pale. When she saw the demonic eyes in the black fog, she felt her legs tremble. It was as if she couldn't take another step forward. Rock Giant Demon. It's the legendary Rock Giant Demon. I've read about it in an ancient scripture, said Lin Feng. Ji Yuhan said with a pale face. That scripture had recorded how terrifying the rock trolls were. Legend had it that the ancient rock trolls were terrifying creatures born from the endless darkness. In the ancient era, the rock trolls had hunted the gods and consumed them as food. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the rock trolls were. This is the rock trolls? Lin Feng's face was filled with shock. The classic of mountains and seas recorded all kinds of divine beasts, vicious beasts, and strange beasts. There was a chapter on the rock trolls. However, there was no picture of the rock trolls in the classic of mountains and seas. Because the rock trolls were too mysterious, the classic of mountains and seas didn't have any specific records of them. The rock trolls were terrifying ancient devils born from the endless darkness. They could devour the stars and kill gods. If one encountered them, one had to flee. Quick, let's go, shouted Lin Feng. Hearing Lin Feng's shout, Ji Yuhan and Ji Yuhan recovered. Only then did Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman return to their senses and quickly run towards the opposite shore. Lin Feng ran behind them. Roar! The rock trolls let out a deep roar, and an endless black fog swept over them. Suddenly, the rolling black fog turned into an incomparably terrifying vicious beast. It opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lin Feng's group. I'm here. Don't even think about crossing. Lin Feng pulled out the black dragon sword. He held it with both hands. Endless power poured into the black dragon sword. Buzz. At that moment, the black dragon sword seemed to sense danger. The dragon marks on the sword came to life. The dragon runes transformed into black dragons that swam around the black dragon sword. Lin Feng felt the black dragon sword's power. He felt that if he slashed down with the sword, the world would be split apart. The black dragon sword had awakened. Was this the true power of the black dragon sword? Slash! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. His sword moved towards the gigantic beast. Buzz! 100 zhang long sword qi condensed and fiercely bombarded the giant beast. With a loud bang, the black dragon sword's attack dissipated the giant beast into nothingness. The 100 zhang long sword qi then bombarded the rock trolls. Roar! The rock trolls let out an angry roar. However, the rock trolls couldn't withstand the attack of the revived black dragon sword and were knocked down the cliff. Lin Feng let out a long breath and quickly ran towards the opposite shore. At that moment, Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman had already run over. They also let out a long breath when they saw Lin Feng repelling the rock trolls. But at that moment, from the cliff, a long tentacle quickly flew up. It was the tentacle of the rock trolls that had fallen into the abyss. The tentacle directly wrapped around Lin Feng's ankle. No! Ji Yuhan screamed in horror. She reached out to grab Lin Feng's hand. Live, Lin Feng murmured. In the next moment, he was pulled into the endless dark world by the tentacle of the rock trolls. Chapter 192. He fell into an endless abyss. Lin Feng realized that he couldn't fly. It was just as the beautiful woman had said. This was a space where flying was prohibited. No one could fly here. Moreover, Lin Feng's ankles were still entangled by the tentacles. He couldn't struggle at all. Clang. With a dull thud, Lin Feng slammed into the ground. He even smashed a huge crater in the ground. Cough, cough. He felt excruciating pain all over his body. A few of his bones seemed to have been broken, but Lin Feng didn't die from the fall. If it had been anyone else, they would have been smashed into meat paste after falling from such a high place. However, Lin Feng was different. He cultivated the Archean dragon-esque elephant technique. Lin Feng's physical body was too strong, surpassing that of primordial god-fiends of the same level. Therefore, even though he was severely injured, he still managed to survive. Lin Feng climbed out of the crater. In the distance, within the flames, an evil eye looked at Lin Feng. Roar. A low roar sounded. Rock troll. Lin Feng was shocked. His face turned pale. This was the territory of the rock troll. Now that he was trapped here, he was probably doomed. Clang. The rock troll charged at Lin Feng, the sound of chains clanging against each other. What's this? Lin Feng was stupefied. He saw that there were 18 chains in the middle of the black fog. There was a gigantic beast locked in place. The rock troll is locked up here? Was he imprisoned here? Lin Feng was shocked. He instantly thought of a possibility. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. The rock troll had hunted gods for food in ancient times. Such a terrifying existence was actually imprisoned in the undying mountain range. What kind of level was needed to imprison an ancient rock troll? What had attacked the three of them just now was clearly not the rock troll's true body, because the rock troll's true body was still imprisoned at the bottom of the cliff. That should have been an energy clone of the rock troll. If it had been the rock troll's true body, even if the black dragon sword had been revived, it would have been impossible to block that blow. Lin Feng endured the pain and retreated. The rock troll said in a sinister voice, "Despicable human ant, I can feel the fear in your heart. I'm going to eat you." Swish, a tentacle stretched out and quickly wrapped around Lin Feng. Slash. Lin Feng wielded the black dragon sword and slashed at the tentacle. Clang, clang, clang. The rock golem's tentacles were extremely terrifying. They were like divine weapons, and Lin Feng's black dragon sword couldn't cut through them. What was even more despairing was, the next moment, more than a dozen tentacles stretched out. Seeing this, Lin Feng's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. Even a single tentacle was difficult to deal with, not to mention a dozen tentacles. Bead, come out and help me. Lin Feng knew that he was no match for the rock troll, even if the rock troll's true body was bound by 18 chains and could not escape. Even so, if the rock troll wanted to deal with him, it would be a piece of cake. If he wanted to fight against the rock troll, he could only rely on the bead. Lin Feng knew how terrifying the bead was. Back then, the fire Qilin was so powerful, but didn't the bead instantly devour all of its divine power? However, no matter how Lin Feng called out, the bead did not respond. Damn it! Lin Feng gritted his teeth in anger. At this critical moment, the bead actually dropped the ball. He couldn't count on the bead at all. Now, more than a dozen tentacles were about to wrap around him. The situation was extremely dangerous. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lin Feng was finally unable to resist the entanglement of the tentacles. He was entangled by the densely packed tentacles, and those tentacles quickly pulled Lin Feng towards the rock troll. It's over. Lin Feng's face turned pale. Facing an ancient rock troll, he couldn't fight it at all. There was only deep despair. There was no hope of escape. Not to mention Lin Feng. Even if a god came, facing this rock troll, he would probably die. When Lin Feng was beside the rock troll, he realized that these tentacles were not a part of the rock troll's body, but were just illusions formed by the rock troll's breath. Lin Feng finally saw the rock troll's appearance clearly. This rock troll was over 100 meters tall, and its entire body was blue. It looked like an incomparably massive blue scorpion. It had a barbed tail, and 2 giant pincers. Its body didn't seem to be made of flesh and blood, but seemed to be made of stone. It was extremely strange. This was the legendary rock troll that hunted gods for food. At this moment, the rock troll opened its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow Lin Feng in one gulp. Dangerous, extremely dangerous. Lin Feng was facing a life and death crisis. Suddenly, Lin Feng remembered that he still had a treasure. The sacred royal stone. The sacred royal stone that the fire Qilin had given to him was rumored to have been stained with the blood of an ancient sacred royal. Back then, countless experts fought for it. The fire Qilin had fought hard to get the sacred royal stone. This sacred royal stone was extremely strange. Back then, it had almost controlled the fire Qilin. It was because the sacred royal stone was too strange that the fire Qilin had given this hot potato to Lin Feng. When Lin Feng saw the sacred royal stone for the first time, he felt that his mind was almost controlled by the sacred royal stone. From this, it could be seen how strange this sacred royal stone was. Now, at this moment of life and death, Lin Feng thought of the sacred royal stone. Could he use this strange sacred royal stone to deal with the rock troll? Thinking of this, Lin Feng took out the sacred royal stone. He grabbed the sacred royal stone and held it in front of him. The rock troll looked at the sacred royal stone in surprise. Suddenly, the rock troll let out a shrill cry. The rock troll was affected by the sacred royal stone. Bzzz. The sacred royal stone broke free from Lin Feng's hand and flew towards the rock troll. Bang! The sacred royal stone hit the rock troll and sent it flying away. The tentacles disappeared, and Lin Feng was free. The sacred royal stone floated in the air, releasing a terrifying twisting force that enveloped the rock troll. My lifespan. It's stealing my lifespan, screamed the rock troll in terror. The sacred royal stone was too strange. It was stealing the rock troll's lifespan. The rock troll was strong enough to send the sacred royal stone flying away with one claw. The sacred royal stone flew back to Lin Feng. Lin Feng grabbed it, but something terrible happened. The sacred royal stone started stealing Lin Feng's lifespan again. Lin Feng was horrified. He quickly put the sacred royal stone into his spirit ring. The sacred royal stone was too strange. It couldn't tell friend from foe. Of course, perhaps in the sacred royal stone's eyes, Lin Feng was the same as the fire Qilin. He was the target of the sacred royal stone. Huff, huff. Both the rock troll and Lin Feng were gasping for breath. The rock troll looked at Lin Feng with deep fear. Just now, the sacred royal stone had been crazily devouring its lifespan. The rock troll couldn't resist at all. Chapter 193. Brat, do you think you can escape by relying on this strange stone? Let me tell you, there's no way. I'll eat you today. The rock troll roared as it stared at Lin Feng, its evil eyes filled with killing intent. However, it did not act immediately. It was clearly wary of the Sage Emperor's stone. Lin Feng said, "Let's see if you can eat me first, or if the Sage Emperor's stone will steal your lifespan first." The rock troll sneered, "Do you think I can't tell? That strange stone isn't a treasure you can control, and you can't control it at all. It's even devouring your lifespan. If you want to use it against me, let's see who dies first." Lin Feng thought to himself. As expected of an old monster that had lived for countless years, the rock troll's eyes were extremely sharp. It had seen through the Sage Emperor's stone with a single glance. Things were going to be a little troublesome. Trying to trick the rock troll was obviously not realistic. If the rock troll was determined to deal with him, he wouldn't be able to stop it. Of course, Lin Feng knew that the rock troll was hesitating as well. The rock troll was actually worried about the Sage Emperor's stone. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes as he looked at the rock troll bound by 18 chains. He suddenly thought of a saying, "In the art of war, attacking a city is inferior, and attacking its heart is superior." This meant that if one wanted to capture a city, attacking the city directly was the inferior strategy. Attacking its heart was the superior strategy. If one could attack its heart, they would be able to capture the city without expending a single soldier. Now, it seemed that this was a very suitable strategy to deal with the rock troll. The rock troll had been bound by 18 chains for who knew how many years, so it definitely wanted to break free. However, it was obvious that the rock troll couldn't break free by relying on its own strength. If someone helped it, perhaps it could succeed. Lin Feng's lips curled into a faint smile. He looked at the rock troll and asked, "Rock troll, how long have you been trapped here?" The rock troll looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, 100,000 years. Why? Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. As expected of a terrifying race that could hunt down deities, it had actually been trapped here for 100,000 years. Then, how long had this rock troll lived? If a human cultivator wanted to live for 100,000 years, they would have to reach the level of a god. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Lin Feng said, 100,000 years. Trapped here for 100,000 years. Presumably, for someone as powerful as you, 100,000 years is a long time. Have you ever thought of leaving this place one day? Escape from this life of endless imprisonment? The rock troll sneered. Boy, don't waste your time. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Aren't you just saying that you'll come and rescue me when you're strong enough? This emperor has seen many people like you. You want to save this emperor with your lowly existences? What a fool, Lin Feng said. Others might not be able to do it, but for me, saving you isn't that difficult. The rock troll sneered. I've seen many humans, but I've never seen a brat as arrogant as you. A low-level cultivator who hasn't even reached the martial general realm dares to boast shamelessly about saving this emperor? This is the funniest joke I've heard in the past 100,000 years. Ha 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 ha. Lin Feng suddenly burst into laughter. The rock troll was stunned. He didn't know why Lin Feng was laughing. The rock troll stared coldly at Lin Feng and asked, "What are you laughing at?" Lin Feng said, "I'm laughing at you, rock troll. You've been wise all your life, but you've made a decision that you'll regret for the rest of your life." The rock troll sneered. How arrogant. No matter how you look at it, you don't seem like someone who can save this emperor. Why would this emperor regret? Rock troll, look. Lin Feng took a step forward and began to activate the archaic dragonesque elephant technique. Roar. Behind Lin Feng, the phantom of an archaic dragonesque elephant appeared. The archaic dragonesque elephant stepped on the sky, and with a loud roar, the entire Milky Way shook. What? What? How is this possible? This can't be real. Seeing the phantom of the archaic dragonesque elephant, the rock troll roared in disbelief. With the rock troll's strength and knowledge, he should be able to recognize the legendary archaic dragonesque elephant. The rock troll recovered from his initial shock. He looked at Lin Feng in disbelief and said, "Archaic dragonesque elephant. That's the phantom of the archaic dragonesque elephant. What technique did you cultivate? You can actually manifest the archaic dragonesque elephant?" In the immemorial era, there were many strong people. There were even holy emperors who had the power to shake the universe. However, no matter how strong the other strong people were, there was one mountain that could never be crossed. That was the archaic dragonesque elephant. The archaic dragonesque elephant ruled the heavens, and the holy emperors bowed to it. There was once a holy emperor who was not convinced by the archaic dragonesque elephant and challenged it, but he was defeated by the archaic dragonesque elephant. There were once 9 ancient holy emperors who wanted to slay the archaic dragonesque elephant. As long as they could slay the archaic dragonesque elephant, the ancient holy emperors would be invincible. However, the 9 holy emperors were defeated by the archaic dragonesque elephant when they joined forces. In that battle, the archaic dragonesque elephant slayed 5 ancient holy emperors, and the remaining 4 holy emperors willingly acknowledged the archaic dragonesque elephant as their master. Only then did they survive. From this, one could see how terrifying the archaic dragonesque elephant was. The archaic dragonesque elephant was a taboo in the hearts of countless strong people. It was a name that no one dared to mention. Even the ancient holy emperors would feel fear at the mention of the archaic dragonesque elephant. However, the archaic dragonesque elephant would also age one day. After the archaic dragonesque elephant passed away, it was rumored that the archaic dragonesque elephant technique was passed down. In order to fight for the Archean dragonesque elephant art, an unprecedented Archean god-fiend great war broke out. That battle, Gods perished and demons perished. Countless strong existences fell one after another. The archaic dragonesque elephant technique, which was known as the number one immemorial taboo theurgy, also disappeared in that battle. From then on, the number one immemorial taboo theurgy, the archaic dragonesque elephant technique, was lost. Of course, this also made many major forces heave a sigh of relief. The loss of the archaic dragonesque elephant technique meant that no one would be able to obtain it. It was better than one person obtaining it, right? Whoever obtained the archaic dragonesque elephant technique might become the second archaic dragonesque elephant in the future, invincible in the heavens. This was something that no one wanted to see. That's right. It's just as you imagined. I cultivate the archaic dragonesque elephant technique, Lin Feng said. Hiss. Even the powerful rock troll was shocked. It muttered, "The archaic dragonesque elephant technique has reappeared in the world. The heavens are about to change." Lin Feng shouted, "Rock troll, do you still think that I can't save you?" Ha ha ha. The archaic dragonesque elephant technique is the archaic dragonesque elephant technique? Ha 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 ha. You're the descendant of the ancient Draco elephant. Of course you can save me. All right, we've reached an agreement today. I won't kill you, but in the future, you'll release me. Of course, I won't let you suffer losses. I can tell you a great secret. It's a great opportunity. If you can seize it, you'll become even more incredible in the future. The rock troll said, "What secret?" Lin Feng was shocked. The secret of the heavenly flames. Chapter 194. What? Heavenly fire? Purple earth core fire? Lin Feng couldn't believe it. He had come out this time to find a type of fire to refine and make his final preparations to become an alchemist. Lin Feng had heard rumors about the purple earth core fire before and thought that it might be in the Undying Mountain range. But after entering the Undying Mountain range, he realized how terrifying it was. How could it be easy to find a heavenly fire? But Lin Feng hadn't thought that he would hear about a heavenly fire from the rock golem. How could he not be surprised? In the deepest part of this abyss is a heavenly fire. It's the legendary purple earth core fire. 90,000 years ago, the purple earth core fire fell from the sky, and the fire spirit was extinguished. Only the essence is left. If I hadn't been trapped here, you wouldn't have had the chance to refine the purple earth core fire. Of course, refining the purple earth core fire isn't easy. You might even be burned to death. Haha, thank you for telling me. If I manage to refine the purple earth core fire, I won't forget your kindness, rock golem. Lin Feng laughed heartily. Refining a heavenly fire. One could imagine what kind of terrifying power it would bring. His alchemy skills would advance by leaps and bounds. His cultivation would improve rapidly. Moreover, the heavenly fire had a powerful offensive ability. Just thinking about it made him excited. The rock golem looked at Lin Feng and said, "Boy, you humans are the most treacherous and cunning. You must swear an oath that if you don't come to save me in the future, you will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." Cultivators rarely made oaths because oaths were very accurate. It was as if there was a terrifying power that controlled all of this. Sometimes, you might see cultivators being struck to death by lightning in broad daylight. It was because they had broken the oath they had made. However, Lin Feng was a man of his word. Since he had reached an agreement with the rock golem, he wouldn't go back on his word. Isn't it just an oath? Lin Feng raised his right hand and swore, "Heavens above, today, I, Lin Feng, have reached an agreement with the rock golem. In the future, when my cultivation increases, I will definitely come to save you. If I break my oath, may the heavens strike me with lightning and kill me." Lin Feng had just finished his oath. Suddenly, a terrifying strength emerged from the sky and penetrated into Lin Feng's third eye. That strength transformed into a talisman. This was the legendary oath rune, condensed from the Tao of the heavens. As long as Lin Feng broke his oath, the oath's talisman, the rune would summon the 9 heavenly tribulation lightning and kill Lin. When the gigantic rock demon saw that Lin Feng had made an oath, he nodded in satisfaction and said, "All right, you can go and absorb the original fire now." Lin Feng's lens. Lin was the flame's Lin. The fire Qilin must have never imagined that I would actually be able to find a heavenly flame like the purple earthcore fire. Moreover, I'm about to refine it. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He had thought that he would definitely die this time. He hadn't thought that not only would he survive, but he would also reach an agreement with the rock golem. Of course, the most important thing was that he was about to obtain a powerful heavenly fire. This was what made Lin Feng the happiest. Soon, Lin Feng arrived at the deepest part of the abyss. Here, flames lingered, and the temperature was scorching. An ancient aura was emitted from the depths of the endless flames. One could vaguely see a ball of purple flames entrenched there. Purple earthcore fire. It really is the legendary purple earthcore fire. Lin Feng took a deep breath. At that moment, Lin Feng was facing the purple earthcore fire, but he was extremely calm. There was even an incomparably solemn expression on his face. Lin Feng still remembered the conversation he had with the fire Qilin. The fire Qilin had an ancestor who was invincible in the 3,000 provinces. The fire Qilin's ancestor found a mysterious heavenly fire in the outer realm. He wanted to refine it, but he suffered a backlash from the heavenly fire. In the end, he died. The fire Qilin's ancestor was a divine beast. They all died because of the backlash from the heavenly fire. From this, it could be seen that refining the heavenly fire wasn't an easy task. This is an opportunity. This might be the only opportunity in my life. No matter what, I have to give it a try. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. Even if he knew that such an opportunity was extremely dangerous, he had to give it a try. If he missed such an opportunity, would there be a second chance in life? Lin Feng took out a bottle of spiritual liquid. Taishan Ice Spiritual Liquid. This was the spiritual liquid that the fire Qilin had refined for Lin Feng. Refining the fire into the body would cause great harm to the body. This spiritual liquid was needed to protect the meridians in the body. Otherwise, it would be easy to die from the backlash of the fire. Lin Feng swallowed the entire bottle of Taishan Ice Spiritual Liquid. Crack, crack. Suddenly, Lin Feng's body began to freeze. He felt that the blood in his body was about to be frozen. His meridians were also covered with a layer of cold ice. Lin Feng was shivering from the cold. He quickly entered the depths of the sea of fire and came to the purple earthcore fire. Looking at the beautiful purple earthcore fire in front of him, Lin Feng took a deep breath and activated his devouring martial spirit. A black hole appeared and swallowed the purple earthcore fire. The purple earthcore fire was swallowed by Lin Feng. Boom! Suddenly, the purple earthcore fire exploded and began to wreak havoc in Lin Feng's body. It burned fiercely as if it wanted to burn Lin Feng into ashes. Obviously, the purple earthcore fire wasn't willing to be refined by Lin Feng. Devour, devour, devour. Lin Feng's triple devouring martial spirit was activated and crazily refined the purple earthcore fire. At the same time, Lin Feng's Archean Dragonesque Elephant Strength was continuously injected into the purple earthcore fire. When the Archean Dragonesque Elephant Strength completely merged with the purple earthcore fire, the purple earthcore fire would be refined by Lin Feng. At that time, no matter how terrifying the purple earthcore fire was, no matter how strong its power was, it wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Feng. The purple earthcore fire became more and more violent. The layer of ice that sealed Lin Feng's meridians and blood was rapidly melting. Once it completely melted, Lin Feng's body wouldn't be able to withstand the terrifying temperature of the heavenly flame. At that time, he would definitely be burned into ashes. Lin Feng also knew the urgency of the matter and that he was in an extremely dangerous situation. Therefore, Lin Feng went all out and activated his devouring martial spirit to devour the heavenly flame. At the same time, the Archean Dragonesque Elephant Strength continuously flowed into the heavenly flame, wanting to merge with the heavenly flame completely. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura was emitted from the depths of the heavenly flame's origin. Feeling the terrifying aura, Lin Feng's face changed drastically. How can this be? Is this the heavenly flame's spirit? Lin Feng's face was filled with horror. He. There's actually a reckless human who wants to refine the heavenly flame. What a joke. A sinister laugh came from the heavenly flame's origin. Chapter 195. The Heavenly Fire Spirit controlled the Heavenly Fire. The reason why the Heavenly Fire was so scary and could fight against the ancient god spirits was because of the Heavenly Fire Spirit. If the Heavenly Fire Spirit was compared to a person, then the Heavenly Fire origin was the person's body, and the Heavenly Fire Spirit was the person's soul. Without a soul, the Heavenly Fire origin had no fighting power. If the Heavenly Fire origin had a soul, it could use all kinds of secret techniques. It was just like the Heavenly Fire origin. Without the Heavenly Fire Spirit, Lin Feng would still be able to refine the Heavenly Fire origin, but it wouldn't be too intense. However, if the Heavenly Fire Spirit was still alive, it would be a different story. If the Heavenly Fire Spirit was still alive, it might be able to kill Lin Feng in an instant. How is this possible? Wasn't the Heavenly Fire Spirit destroyed? Lin Feng shouted in disbelief. That year, I was almost killed by the Fire Unicorn, but at the last moment, I managed to counterattack and fight against the Fire Unicorn. Even though I managed to kill the Fire Unicorn with great difficulty, I was also severely injured. All of my strength was gone, and only my soul was left. Little boy, your body is not bad. I want to devour your soul and take over your body. My purple flame earth core flame will use your body to be reborn. Whoosh! As soon as it finished speaking, a black light rushed out of the Heavenly Fire origin and entered Lin Feng's mind. It was the Heavenly Fire Spirit. The Celestial Fire Spirit wanted to take over Lin Feng's body. It wanted to take over Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng's body was tempered by the immemorial dragonesque elephant art. It was stronger than the gods and demons of the same level. Such a physical body was naturally very powerful. It was also a body that was envied by others. It wasn't strange that the Heavenly Fire Spirit wanted it. After a short moment of shock, Lin Feng regained his composure. Lin Feng didn't expect that the mysterious Heavenly Fire origin that had attacked the Fire Qilin ancestor was the Purple Flame Core Heavenly Fire. That battle naturally shocked the heavens and earth and made ghosts and gods weep. The Fire Qilin's ancestor had fallen. However, the mysterious Heavenly Fire, which was the Heavenly Fire Spirit of the Purple Earthcore Fire, was only one step away from death. That was a battle where both sides suffered great losses. Although the Heavenly Fire Spirit of the Purple Earthcore Fire had survived, it was no longer as strong as it used to be. Perhaps they could still fight to the death in this battle. Refine. The Purple Earthcore Fire's Heavenly Flame Spirit rushed into Lin Feng's mind and turned into a flame god. That flame god waved his hand, and endless flames poured into the depths of Lin Feng's mind, searching for Lin Feng's soul source. It wanted to directly refine Lin Feng's soul source to death. This way, he would be able to control Lin Feng's perfect body. Lin Feng also launched a counterattack. He activated his 3 devouring martial souls. The 3 spatial magnetic fields overlapped and enveloped the Heavenly Fire Spirit. Lin Feng wanted to trap the Heavenly Fire Spirit, but very quickly, Lin Feng realized that he had failed. Although the Heavenly Fire Spirit was in an unprecedentedly weak state, it was still weak. However, that was only relative. Compared to the past, the Heavenly Fire Spirit was indeed in a weak state. However, it didn't mean that the Heavenly Fire Spirit was really weak. Strength and weakness were relative. Compared to Lin Feng, the Heavenly Fire Spirit was still extremely strong. "Ha!" said the Heavenly Fire Spirit while laughing in a strange way. "I never thought that you would have 3 devouring martial spirits. The devouring martial spirit is the most mysterious martial spirit in the universe. Your martial spirit must be a top-notch devouring martial spirit. Your martial spirit must have surpassed the 10th grade martial spirit, which led to the transformation of your martial spirit. God is really kind to me. I can't believe that I have found such a perfect body." Boom. As soon as the Heavenly Fire Spirit finished speaking, it broke the suppression of Lin Feng's 3 devouring martial souls. That Celestial Fire Spirit was really terrifying. It quickly arrived in front of Lin Feng and released an endless amount of fire which was burning the earth and sky. The Heavenly Fire Spirit formed a huge flaming hand and attacked Lin Feng's primordial spirit, immemorial dragonesque elephant. Lin Feng shouted loudly and activated the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill. Roar. The immemorial dragonesque elephant's shadow appeared. The immemorial dragonesque elephant stepped on the sky and directly stepped on the heavenly fire spirit. What? Immemorial dragonesque elephant? It's really the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Are you cultivating the legendary immemorial dragonesque elephant skill? The heavenly fire spirit shouted in disbelief. It was stunned. The heavenly fire spirit had an extremely long life. In the immemorial era, it had witnessed the rise of the immemorial dragonesque elephant. It had also witnessed the era when the immemorial dragonesque elephant ruled the universe. The 9 great saint emperors had challenged the immemorial dragonesque elephant, but they had been crushed by the immemorial dragonesque elephant. The heavenly fire spirit would never forget the scene. Now that it saw Lin Feng using the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill, the heavenly fire spirit was not afraid at all. Instead, it was overjoyed. I'm really rich. No wonder your body is so perfect. It turns out that you've cultivated the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill. The heavens have eyes. They have allowed me to obtain a perfect body and the inheritance of the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill. The heavenly fire spirit roared like a madman. Boom! It and the immemorial dragonesque elephant fiercely collided. The heavenly fire spirit was really terrifying. The immemorial dragonesque elephant was pushed back by the heavenly fire spirit's attack. Little brat, after I destroy the immemorial dragonesque elephant, I will eat your memories. Everything in your memories will become my memories. At that time, I will become you. No, I will replace you. The heavenly fire spirit laughed eerily. Boom, boom, boom. It started releasing even more powerful attacks. It wanted to destroy the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Lin Feng knew what was going on. It was a matter of life and death. The heavenly fire spirit didn't have to die. It had to die. At that moment, he couldn't hold back anymore. Soul Sword, shouted Lin Feng in a deep voice. He released his soul sword and attacked the heavenly fire spirit. Bzzz. Above his head, the soul sword was as fast as lightning. It instantly arrived in front of the heavenly fire spirit and slashed at it. Soul secret technique? Little brat, you're really surprising me. You have an incredible spirit, incredible skills, and now, you've even cultivated a soul secret technique. If it were someone else, they would have died at your hands. But today, you're facing the heavenly fire spirit of a great heavenly fire. Today, you're going to die, shouted the heavenly fire spirit. It was standing in the air. Its left hand was moving towards the immemorial dragonesque elephant, and its right hand was punching the soul sword. Chapter 196. The heavenly fire spirit displayed his great fighting prowess. He was facing Lin Feng's 2 attacks alone, but he wasn't at a disadvantage at all. Asterisk bang bang bang. Asterisk he clashed with the ancient dragonesque elephant again and again. The ancient dragonesque elephant was suppressed. The heavenly fire spirit was too strong. There was a huge gap between Lin Feng's cultivation level and the heavenly fire spirit's. That was the main reason why the ancient dragonesque elephant was suppressed. No matter how powerful a cultivation method was, the exact level of battle prowess was ultimately dependent on the cultivation of the cultivator who used the cultivation method. The ancient dragonesque elephant skill was known as the number 1 forbidden divine skill of the immemorial era. However, if a martial master cultivator used the ancient dragonesque elephant skill to challenge a yin-yang cultivator, it would be like an ant trying to shake a tree. For example, the celestial fire spirit was extremely strong. It was also the reason why he had been able to oppress the ancient dragonesque elephants and Lin Feng. The heavenly fire spirit was suppressing the ancient dragonesque elephant while trying to destroy Lin Feng's soul sword. Asterisk clang. Asterisk his fist ruthlessly smashed onto the sword of souls. Instantly, a loud explosion rang out. This time, the soul sword suffered a huge impact and almost shattered. From this, one could see how strong the heavenly fire spirit's attack was. Second primordial spirit. It was a moment of life and death. Lin Feng didn't hold anything back. He released his second primordial spirit. The second primordial spirit condensed into a second soul sword and slashed towards the heavenly fire spirit. Asterisk buzz, asterisk the second soul sword, slashed towards Lin Feng. What? Second primordial spirit? You condensed a second primordial spirit? The heavenly fire spirit shouted in shock. In my long life, I have rarely seen someone as monstrous as you. If I let you continue to grow, you might really become a peerless cultivator in the future. But now that you have met me, everything will turn into a dream. Boy, accept your fate. You are destined to be devoured by me. 3 heads, 6 arms. Following that, the heavenly fire spirit roared and unleashed an extremely heaven-defying secret technique. Asterisk swoosh asterisk with a flash of light, 2 more heads appeared beside the heavenly fire spirit's head. 4 more arms appeared on his body. The heavenly fire spirit looked like a normal person. In an instant, he had 3 heads and 6 arms. It was as if he had transformed into an ancient demon. This kind of method was really too terrifying. Lin Feng knew that this was the most ancient of divine skills. Every divine ability could bring about an incomparably powerful ability. Divine skills. Divine skills. Only by accomplishing the impossible could one call it a divine ability. For example, you could blow up a planet in outer space with a single breath. Divine skill was impossible. But if you can do it, that would be a divine ability. Was divine skill. Divine was a divine great. After transforming into a 3-headed, 6-armed demon god, the heavenly fire spirit strength had greatly increased. T. The sun and moon had lost their light. Lin Feng's 2 soul swords had almost been destroyed in a flash. The primordial dragon-esque elephant was almost killed by the heavenly fire spirit. It was too terrifying. After using the 3 heads, 6 arms divine skill, the heavenly fire spirit's combat power was incomparable to before. Ha ha ha, boy, what other tricks do you have? Go ahead and use them. If you don't, you won't have any more chances. The heavenly fire spirit laughed maniacally. It was obvious that the heavenly fire spirit thought that he could defeat Lin Feng. Bind! Lin Feng shouted and used all the spirit array techniques he had learned. The densely packed runes interweaved together and transformed into threads that wrapped around the heavenly fire spirit's body. The heavenly fire spirit was shocked. Spirit array techniques? You are also a spirit array master? He was overjoyed. I would never have thought that you would be a great spellcaster at such a young age. You're so young, and you can already use great spellcasters. Your talent is amazing. You've refined the heavenly fire. Do you want to become an alchemist? Now that I think about it, I'm excited. After I control your body, nobody will be able to compete with me in terms of cultivation. Not only will I become a great spellcaster, but I will also become a great alchemist. Such a glorious life will belong to me. It has nothing to do with you. The heavenly fire spirit laughed and exerted strength in his arms. Asterisk bang. Asterisk Lin Feng's bind technique was broken by the heavenly fire spirit. Boy, don't you have any other tricks? If that's the case, then you should die. The heavenly fire spirit said coldly. He destroyed the primordial dragon-esque elephant and destroyed the primordial dragon-esque elephant. He then charged towards Lin Feng's primordial spirit. He wanted to destroy Lin Feng's primordial spirit. At this moment of extreme danger, asterisk whoosh asterisk a cyan light suddenly appeared and shot towards the heavenly fire spirit. The cyan light was too fast. Even the heavenly fire spirit couldn't dodge it. Bronze. It was the mysterious bronze that Lin Feng had obtained in the market. According to the heavenly fire spirit, it was a fragment of a holy emperor weapon. In other words, the mysterious bronze was a fragment of a weapon forged by a saint king. Its power was extremely terrifying. A tearing sound was heard as the mysterious bronze pierced through the heavenly fire spirit's body. Furthermore, the heavenly fire spirit was severely injured. The heavenly fire spirit let out a painful roar. A fragment of a holy emperor weapon. Boy, you have injured me. You have injured me. I will make you wish you were dead. The heavenly fire spirit roared furiously. His face looked ferocious as he stretched out his hand towards the bronze fragment. At the same time, he attacked Lin Feng's primordial spirit with his palm. Although the heavenly fire spirit was still very powerful, Lin Feng could feel that the heavenly fire spirit's primordial spirit had been severely injured after the bronze fragment had pierced through his body. There was a huge gap between his strength and before. At this moment, Lin Feng exploded. Devouring martial spirit, devour the heavens. Lin Feng roared. The three devouring martial spirits were activated by Lin Feng crazily. The three devouring martial spirits instantly merged into one. When the three devouring martial spirits merged into one, the devouring power of the devouring martial spirit would reach its peak. Although Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit could create a spatial magnetic field to imprison the cultivators within it, the most terrifying thing about the devouring martial spirit was its ability to devour. Boom! The three devouring martial spirits merged into one and enveloped the heavenly fire spirit. They started to devour the heavenly fire spirit crazily. Break! 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 The heavenly fire spirit roared and attacked Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit continuously. It wanted to break apart Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit. However, the heavenly fire spirit failed. Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit's strongest attack exploded. Devouring martial spirit, devour. Boom. A terrifying devouring power surged out and a black hole appeared. It looked like it could devour the entire universe in an instant. The black hole enveloped the heavenly fire spirit and started to devour it crazily. No! The heavenly fire spirit screamed in fear. In the next instant, the devouring martial spirit exploded, and the black hole directly devoured the heavenly fire spirit. A terrifying power surged out. Lin Feng activated the Archean Dragonesque elephant skill again and cooperated with the devouring martial spirit. Ah, boy, you're courting death. How dare you refine me? I'll kill you. The heavenly fire spirit roared furiously. Lin Feng looked indifferent as he activated the devouring martial spirit and the Archean Dragonesque elephant skill. Boom. Finally, the heavenly fire spirit exploded and turned into the purest soul origin. Chapter 197. What a pure soul power! After the celestial fire spirit was killed, its will had disappeared, but its soul was still there. When Lin Feng sensed the strength of the celestial fire spirit's soul, he was overjoyed. This soul power could be refined directly. Devouring martial spirit. Devouring martial spirit. Lin Feng activated his devouring martial spirit and crazily devoured the soul power left behind by the heavenly fire spirit. Boom! Lin Feng's soul power began to increase crazily. Originally, when Lin Feng successfully condensed his second primordial spirit, his soul power had broken through to the martial king realm. However, after refining the soul power of the heavenly fire spirit, Lin Feng's soul power soared. Finally, it stopped at the peak of the martial king realm. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. His soul power had reached the peak of the martial king realm when he was only a martial master. This was too terrifying. This meant that if Lin Feng used the soul sword to sneak attack a martial king realm expert, as long as the sneak attack was successful, the martial king realm expert would be injured by Lin Feng's soul sword. Of course, the great increase in soul power increased the power of the soul sword. However, the most important thing was that the great increase in soul power could help Lin Feng walk faster and further on the path of a spiritual array master and alchemist. They were all spiritual array masters and alchemists. Why did some people improve quickly while others improved slowly? Talent, later encounters, etc. Perhaps it was related to many aspects. Many people said that success was 1% talent and 99% perspiration. However, why was it that only a very small percentage of people succeeded? This was because most people did not have that 1% talent. Without talent, no matter how hard one worked, they could not escape the fate of failure. Just like spiritual array masters and alchemists, what was talent? The stronger the soul, the stronger the talent. This was talent. The heavenly fire spirit had fallen. Without the support of the heavenly fire spirit, the backlash of the heavenly fire origin was greatly reduced. Lin Feng began to refine the heavenly fire origin. The violent heavenly fire origin began to be suppressed. The violent energy gradually calmed down. The heavenly fire origin was currently being refined by Lin Feng into his own. After an unknown period of time, the heavenly fire origin was finally branded with Lin Feng's aura. Following that, the heavenly fire origin began to fuse with Lin Feng. And during the fusion, the heavenly fire origin gave Lin Feng an endless amount of energy. That boundless ocean-like energy burst out from Lin Feng's body. That energy engulfed his entire body. Boom! Lin Feng could feel his strength growing at an insane rate. Lin Feng was originally a cultivator of the 6th celestial layer, and now he had quickly broken through to the 7th level of the martial master realm. However, Lin Feng's strength was still increasing crazily. The energy contained in this heavenly flame origin was too majestic. Lin Feng's strength quickly increased from 50 million to 100 million. Then, it broke through the shackles of 100 million and rushed to the level of 200 million Jin. But until now, it had not stopped. His strength was still increasing crazily. Behind Lin Feng, an immemorial dragonesque elephant's shadow appeared. The immemorial dragonesque elephant stepped on the ground with its head facing the sky. Its roar shook the heavens. Now, Lin Feng seemed to be gradually showing a trace of the immemorial dragonesque elephant's divine power. That surging power was still increasing crazily. In the end, Lin Feng's strength increased to 400 million Jin before it stopped. And Lin Feng's cultivation stopped at the 9th firmament martial master realm. Refining the heavenly fire, Lin Feng broke through 3 levels in one go. Haha, this time I really got a great opportunity. Not only did I refine the heavenly fire, but I also broke through 3 levels. Lin Feng stood up and laughed loudly. He activated his 3 devouring martial spirits. Under the operation of the 3 devouring martial spirits, Lin Feng's strength increased by 3 times in an instant, reaching 120 million Jin. This strength had already surpassed the 1st firmament martial general realm experts. A 1st firmament martial general realm cultivator's strength reached 1 billion Jin. In the Dantian, a giant dragon's shadow would condense. This was the so-called one dragon strength. One dragon strength was 1 billion Jin. However, when Lin Feng activated his 3 devouring martial spirits, there was no movement in his Dantian, and there was no intention of condensing a giant dragon shadow. According to the records of the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill, the immemorial dragonesque elephant strength is 10 times that of a giant dragon. Moreover, after breaking through to the martial general realm, cultivators who cultivate the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill will not condense one dragon strength, but one dragonesque elephant strength. If I want to condense one dragonesque elephant strength, my strength will have to increase to at least 10 billion Jin. Lin Feng took a deep breath. Why was the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill said to be the #1 forbidden divine skill in the universe? It was because of this. Other cultivators could reach the 1st firmament martial general realm with 1 billion Jin of strength and condense one dragon strength. They were both at the 1st celestial layer of the martial general layer, but Lin Feng's dragon elephant gravitational force could reach 10 billion Jin. It could kill cultivators of the same level in an instant. Whoosh! Lin Feng did not stop and rushed outside. You really refined the purple earth core fire? The rock golem was shocked when he saw Lin Feng. Obviously, Lin Feng refining the purple earth core fire was out of his expectations. Lin Feng sneered. Rock golem, you dare to trick me? The rock golem's expression changed. Lin Feng was right. The rock golem and the purple earth core fire had been in the same place for tens of thousands of years. The rock golem naturally knew that the purple earth core fire's fire spirit was not extinguished. If the purple earth core fire took over Lin Feng's body, given its relationship with the purple earth core fire, the purple earth core fire would definitely help it escape in the future. Therefore, the rock golem did not have good intentions when it told Lin Feng about the purple earth core fire. If Lin Feng refined the purple earth core fire, they would still have a contract. In the future, Lin Feng would not be able to break the contract. It would still have to be released. If Lin Feng's body was taken over by the purple earth core fire, it would still be able to escape. The rock troll's expression was uncertain. It said in a deep voice, "What? You want to go back on your word?" Ha ha ha, rock golem, don't worry. Since I, Lin Feng, promised you, I will definitely do it. Lin Feng suddenly laughed. But on the inside, Lin Feng was smiling coldly. Rock demon, initially, I wanted to release you and give you back your freedom, but since you betrayed me, when I release you, I'll subjugate you and turn you into my slave. I'll make you obey my orders." Of course, Lin Feng would not say this to the rock golem. The rock golem's eyes were gloomy. It had lived for tens of thousands of years and was very intelligent. It had probably guessed what Lin Feng was thinking. "Brat, let's see who will be the one to subdue me after you release me. Who will have the last laugh?" The rock golem sneered in his heart. No matter if it was Lin Feng or the gigantic rock demon, they both had their own plans, but both of them were smiling. Lin Feng said, "Rock golem, send me out of the forbidden area and wait for me to rescue you. I hope that day won't be too far away." The rock golem laughed sinisterly. Chapter 198. The Undying Town. Countless people were still talking about the strange events that had happened in the Undying Mountain Range. When they reached this point, they all seemed to have a lingering fear. So many people were sucked into the Undying Mountain Range, but not many came out alive. Many people died inside, their bodies and Tao vanishing. They're destined to become the undead of the Undying Mountain Range. I really don't know why such a thing happened in the Undying Mountain Range. I heard that Jiming Tian managed to escape. Rumor has it that he saw the mysterious immortal medicine of immortality in the Undying Mountain Range. It seems that he even obtained a part of it. What? Is that true? I'm not sure if it's true or not, but after Jiming Tian escaped, he quickly met up with his sister and left under the escort of the Great Zhou Empire's experts. Lin Feng heard some news about Jiming Tian. This peerless genius? Could it be that he had really obtained the legendary immortal medicine of immortality? If that was the case, then it was too heaven-defying. Ji Yuhan and the beautiful woman should have also successfully escaped, which made Lin Feng feel a bit more at ease. Lin Feng was waiting for the Fire Qilin to appear. At the same time, he was also looking for Saber Lord's whereabouts. Lin Feng suspected that Saber Lord was the one who had killed Zi Shao and stolen his treasures. Of course, it could also be someone else. At that time, many experts had been sucked into the Undying Mountain Range. However, Lin Feng wasn't able to find Saber Lord. Saber Lord's whereabouts were unknown, or perhaps he had escaped from the Undying Mountain Range and escaped. "Brother Z, don't worry, I'll investigate this matter to the end," Lin Feng murmured. Another thing was that Lin Feng wanted to find an opportunity to go to the Qingyang sect. Lin Feng had heard Zi Shao mention his sister before. She was a few years younger than Lin Feng and was now an outer disciple of the Qingyang sect. Like Zi Shao, the siblings were cultivating in the Qingyang sect. On this day, the Fire Qilin finally returned to Lin Feng. The Fire Qilin came back in a sorry state. Looking at the half-dead Fire Qilin, Lin Feng asked, "Why are you in such a sorry state?" The Fire Qilin replied, "I saw the immortal phoenix tree and chased after it. I went through a lot of dangers, but it still managed to escape." The Fire Qilin was vexed that he had mentioned this matter. "Is there anyone else besides you?" Lin Feng asked. "It seems like someone managed to pick a fruit from the celestial phoenix tree. What a pity. If I still had my strength, I wouldn't have let the celestial phoenix tree escape." The Fire Qilin was very vexed, but everything was already in the past. The Phoenix Immortal Tree disappeared into the depths of the Undying Mountain Range. That place was too dangerous, and the Fire Qilin felt the aura of death. The Fire Qilin didn't dare to chase after it. Lin Feng stroked his chin. Did someone really pluck the fruit of the Phoenix Immortal Tree? Was it really Ji Mingtian? The Fire Qilin asked, "How did you come out alive?" Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "Could it be that you want me to die in there?" The Fire Qilin said, "If you die in there, the world will have one less scourge." At that moment, Lin Feng really had the urge to kick the Fire Qilin to death. "Look, what's this?" As Lin Feng spoke, he stretched out his right hand and flicked his fingers. A cluster of blue flames jumped out. Heavenly fire? Purple earthcore fire? The Fire Qilin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he shouted in disbelief. Countless people had tried to find heavenly fire, but to no avail. Now, Lin Feng had actually refined a type of heavenly fire. This was simply an unimaginable opportunity. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. It's the purple earthcore fire. What happened? How did you find the purple earthcore fire? The fire Qilin asked. Lin Feng told the fire Qilin about his encounter with the rock demon and the heavenly fire. Damn, you can do that? You destroyed the heavenly fire spirit? The fire Qilin was dumbfounded. I was lucky. Lin Feng grinned. The harvest from this trip was huge. Not only did his strength soar, he also refined a heavenly fire. After returning, Lin Feng would be able to learn alchemy from the fire Qilin. Lin Feng and the fire Qilin did not linger in Undying Town. The next day, they set out on their journey back to the Azure Dragon Institute. I wonder how Leng Qiushuang and the others are doing? However, Lin Feng wasn't worried. It shouldn't be too difficult for them to escape the nine-headed Scarlet Lion's pursuit. 10 days later, Lin Feng was back at the Azure Dragon Institute. Inside the institute, groups of 2 and 3 students walked along the small path, chatting and laughing. Here, there was no mutual deception or life and death struggle like the outside world. The feeling of returning to the Azure Dragon Institute was quite good. Lin Feng headed toward the Genius Barracks. However, when they passed by the Hall of Missions, they suddenly discovered that many students were running towards the Hall of Missions. Lin Feng stopped one of the students and asked, "This senior brother, what happened? Why are there so many people gathered at the mission hall?" That student answered, "I heard that it happened in the northwest part of the empire, the border between true martial country and the Beastmen Empire. The Beastmen Empire is causing trouble again, burning, killing, and looting. Now, the Azure Dragon Institute has issued a mission to help the Empire quell the chaos. This is a good opportunity to make a name for yourself. Not only are the rewards generous, those who perform outstandingly will be recommended to join an ancient force after graduation. Many thanks for the information." Lin Feng cupped his fists in gratitude. Junior brother is too polite. That student also cupped his fists and ran toward the mission hall. The fire Qilin commented, "It seems like many people want to seize this opportunity to show off. After all, to become an expert, one must join an ancient force. In this Azure Dragon Institute, there is no possibility of becoming a peerless expert." Lin Feng nodded, also running toward the mission hall. "Move aside. All of you move aside. Your mother, don't you have eyes? Didn't you see senior brother Mu Yunfan coming? Why aren't you scramming?" At this time, a group of people squeezed in, their attitude extremely arrogant, directly kicking the students in front of the mission hall to the ground. When these students saw the newcomers, they didn't dare to refute, rolling and crawling to get out of the way. When the rest of the students saw this group of people, they quickly retreated to the sides as if avoiding snakes and scorpions. More than 20 students were maintaining order. A white-clothed young master walked towards the mission hall, surrounded by the stars surrounding the moon. Who is this person? Why is he so arrogant? Lin Feng asked in shock. One of the students answered, "This is the Blood Dragon Gang's number 3, Mu Yunfan. This Mu Yunfan's elder sister is the 8th prince's favorite concubine. Thus, this person has always been arrogant, but no one dares to provoke him." So that's how it is. Lin Feng nodded. Once Mu Yunfan entered the mission hall, many students walked towards the mission hall. Suddenly, a student blocked everyone's path, coldly saying, "Don't you have eyes? Don't you see senior brother Mu in the mission hall? Scram to the side. Wait for senior brother Mu to finish looking at the mission, then you can go and look." Many students' faces were ugly, being reprimanded like this, but none of them dared to refute, obediently retreating. After all, the Blood Dragon Gang's people were not people the average student could afford to provoke. Lin Feng frowned slightly. These people were too arrogant. They were all Azure Dragon Institute students. Everyone was equal. Why was Mu Yunfan allowed to look? Why couldn't others look? Lin Feng sneered. Ridiculous. Why can Mu Yunfan watch from the mission hall? Do we have to wait here? Brat, are you doubting my words? The student's face darkened, lifting his leg. He aimed a kick at Lin Feng's abdomen. Chapter 199. Arrogant. He was too arrogant. One word of disagreement. Immediately beating someone up. Lin Feng had never seen such an arrogant person. Lin Feng didn't have a good impression of the Blood Dragon Gang. Not to mention, Lin Feng had killed many members of the Blood Dragon Gang, including the Blood Dragon Gang's ninth disciple, Su Haozong. Lin Feng guessed that the Blood Dragon Gang would definitely suspect him. However, Lin Feng didn't care. They had no evidence. But the grudge between Lin Feng and the Blood Dragon Gang had been buried long ago. Look, they're attacking. That kid is unlucky. He's going to be taught a lesson by the Blood Dragon Gang. He should be a new student, right? He doesn't know how powerful the Blood Dragon Gang is. These people have always been so arrogant and despotic, but no one dares to provoke them. They'll attack at the slightest disagreement. This has always been the Blood Dragon Gang's style. Once bitten, twice shy. This time, he suffered a loss, but he'll remember it next time. Didn't we suffer a loss at the hands of the Blood Dragon Gang in the past? Some of the older students were discussing spiritedly. There were 5 major forces in the Azure Dragon Institute. The Blood Dragon Gang was the strongest force. Not only was the Blood Dragon Gang powerful, but the forces behind them were also powerful enough. Among them, there were the shadows of the 8th Prince and several other princes. Therefore, the Blood Dragon Gang's style was so arrogant. Lin Feng hadn't seen the Blood Dragon Gang before because he was cultivating in the genius camp. He usually cultivated and didn't pay much attention to the outside world. Therefore, he didn't know how arrogant the Blood Dragon Gang was. Today, he finally saw it for himself. The Azure Dragon Institute had a written rule that students were not allowed to fight. However, the Blood Dragon Gang's disciples simply ignored the Azure Dragon Institute's rules. Because the Blood Dragon Gang was powerful enough, no one dared to interfere. Therefore, they dared to openly violate the Azure Dragon Institute's rules and act so arrogantly. However, Lin Feng wasn't afraid of the Blood Dragon Gang. Lin Feng's cultivation wasn't as strong as it was now, but he still wasn't afraid of the Blood Dragon Gang. Everything was built on the foundation of strength. The Blood Dragon Gang's disciple kicked at Lin Feng. Many people thought that Lin Feng would definitely suffer. However, Lin Feng had a sneer on his face. He actually dared to make a move? He was truly courting death. Lin Feng dodged to the left and evaded the kick of the Blood Dragon Gang's member. Then, Lin Feng stretched out his right hand and grabbed the neck of the Blood Dragon Gang member, lifting him up like a chicken. How is this possible? Many people exclaimed in shock. Most of them recognized the person who attacked, a 5th Heavenly Layer Martial Master. Even in the Azure Dragon Institute, this was considered extraordinary strength. However, Lin Feng easily dodged such a powerful attack. Moreover, this freshman, Lin Feng, had grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. This was a bit inconceivable. "Little brat, put me down or you'll die." The senior student roared angrily. "You dare to threaten me after falling into my hands? I really don't know who gave you the confidence to be so arrogant," said Lin Feng, smiling coldly. He raised his hand and slapped the old man. Pa! A resounding slap echoed in the air. In an instant, the crowd fell into absolute silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. Obviously, no one had expected Lin Feng to slap this senior student. This slap was not as simple as slapping a senior student. Behind this person stood Mu Yunfan and the Blood Dragon Gang. This brat is so bold? This year's new students are really crazy. First, there was that mysterious Lin Feng leading his group to sweep away the 5 senior student groups. Now, there's a new student who dares to slap a Blood Dragon Gang member's face. Many of the senior students exclaimed in shock. However, these older students were all very excited and felt that their anger had been vented. When facing the Blood Dragon Gang, many people dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. Now that they saw a Blood Dragon Gang member suffer, they naturally rejoiced in his misfortune. The senior student from the Blood Dragon Gang was clearly stunned by Lin Feng's slap. His originally handsome face twisted as he looked at Lin Feng with hatred. He roared, "Brat, you're dead. I'll make you wish you were dead. I'll make you regret your foolish actions. You dare threaten me? I really don't know what's in your head." Lin Feng sneered. Pa. This was Lin Feng's way of doing things. He was not a person who would submit to humiliation. Lin Feng's counterattacks had always been swift and fierce. "You dare threaten me? I'll beat you until you kneel and beg for mercy." Everyone was dumbstruck as they watched Lin Feng slap the Blood Dragon Gang members face left and right. Not only did they not sympathize with the Blood Dragon Gang member, but they were also incomparably excited. They wished they could become Lin Feng at that moment and personally fight. Impudent. At that moment, a cold voice sounded. A young man wearing a blue gown walked over with a gloomy expression. It's Xue Changfeng. That guy is Mu Yunfan's trusted aide. It's said that he's already at the 7th heavenly layer of the martial master realm. His status in the Blood Dragon Gang is also extraordinary. This is troublesome. Even Xue Changfeng has appeared. That new student is going to be in big trouble. Many students shook their heads. When they saw Xue Changfeng walk out of the mission hall, they knew that Mu Yunfan had also noticed the situation outside and had sent Xue Changfeng to deal with it. Those who offended the Blood Dragon Gang would not have a good ending. What's more, it was a new student. Everyone looked at Lin Feng with pity in their eyes. Xue Changfeng looked coldly at Lin Feng, his voice cold to the extreme. Brat, why aren't you releasing him? A piece of trash. I'll return him to you. Slapping him will only dirty my hands. Lin Feng sneered and threw the senior student to the ground like a dead dog. Brat, you actually dared to boast so shamelessly after beating up my Blood Dragon Gang's people. I think you're courting death. Xue Changfeng's cold gaze fell on Lin Feng. From time to time, a cold glint flashed in his eyes that made one's heart palpitate. Lin Feng coldly said, Don't you think you've gone too far? Does the Blood Dragon Gang think they can be arrogant and despotic in the Azure Dragon Institute? Does the Blood Dragon Gang think they can casually beat people up? Xue Changfeng said, That's right. My Blood Dragon Gang can do this. Hearing Xue Changfeng's words, Lin Feng's gaze darkened. These people from the Blood Dragon Gang, their arrogance and despotism seemed to come from their bones. Xue Changfeng's cold gaze fell on Lin Feng, an arrogant expression on his face as he looked at Lin Feng with contempt. Break one of your arms, and I'll spare you this time. Otherwise, the price of offending my Blood Dragon Gang is not something you can bear. Do it yourself. I'll break your right arm. Chapter 200. This Xue Changfeng was even more arrogant. He actually wanted Lin Feng to break one of his arms. He was even more arrogant and despotic than the Blood Dragon Gang member from before. Lin Feng could tell that the higher the cultivation and status of the Blood Dragon Gang members, the more arrogant they would be. They didn't put others in their eyes. Who asked the Blood Dragon Gang to be the #1 force in the Azure Dragon Institute? Who asked the Blood Dragon Gang to have the support of the 8th Prince and several other princes? This was the reason why the Blood Dragon Gang members were so arrogant. The other forces, such as the Wild Tiger Gang, Drizzle Building, Wind Snow School, and Thunder Heaven Sect, paled in comparison to the Blood Dragon Gang. Although the other 4 forces were powerful, the upper echelons of the Blood Dragon Gang restrained them. Therefore, they wouldn't be as arrogant and rude as the Blood Dragon Gang members. What if I say no? Lin Feng sneered. I gave you face, but you don't want it. A sinister light flashed in Xue Changfeng's eyes. He waved his hand, and the dozen or so Blood Dragon Gang members flew over. Brother Feng. The dozen or so Blood Dragon Gang members stood behind Xue Changfeng respectfully. From this, it could be seen that Xue Changfeng's position in the Blood Dragon Gang was quite high. Teach this brat a good lesson. Let him know the consequences of offending my Blood Dragon Gang. Xue Changfeng ordered coldly. Yes. The rest of the people responded and charged toward Lin Feng. Each and every one of them had a sinister grin on their faces. These students relied on the Blood Dragon Gang's reputation to act arrogantly. Now, there was actually someone who dared to provoke the Blood Dragon Gang's prestige. Naturally, they hated him. From these students' expressions, it was clear that they harbored malicious intentions toward Lin Feng. Once they made a move, it would be a thunderous attack. Boom! The dozen or so students all made their move, charging toward Lin Feng. Some of the new students who were watching the show curled their lips. This Blood Dragon Gang is known as the #1 force in the Azure Dragon Institute. To deal with a new student, they actually sent more than a dozen seniors? Do they have no shame? A senior student said, This is the Blood Dragon Gang's way of doing things. We're already used to it. You'll understand when you've stayed in the Azure Dragon Institute for a long time. So that's how it is. However, I'm afraid that brother is out of luck. He's going to face so many people from the Blood Dragon Gang alone. Blood Dragon Gang members may be arrogant and despotic, but this is the Azure Dragon Institute. But breaking the other's limbs, this isn't the first or. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air, breaking 4 limbs. If such a thing really happened, he would have to recuperate in bed for at least several months. In everybody's opinion, Lin Feng's fate was already sealed. At that moment, Lin Feng moved. Pa, pa, pa then. Loud slapping sounds rang out. Along with the slapping sounds, blood-curdling screams rang out one after another. Then, everyone saw that one figure after another was sent flying. All of them were members of the Blood Dragon Gang. More than a dozen members of the Blood Dragon Gang spurted out blood in midair. Their faces were almost slapped to pieces. Heavens! How is this possible? Many of the students cried out in disbelief. Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, they still felt that it couldn't be real. More than a dozen members of the Blood Dragon Gang were sent flying. Were those loud slapping sounds just now all the slapping sounds? That kid sent a Blood Dragon Gang member flying with a single slap? Everyone felt that it was inconceivable. These Blood Dragon Gang members were elites among the seniors. But now, a freshman sent one of them flying with a single slap. How inconceivable. Yet, such an inconceivable thing had happened right in front of their eyes. Plop, plop. More than a dozen members of the Blood Dragon Gang fell to the ground. They held their heads and wailed in pain. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Only now did they realize that what they had just seen was real. It wasn't a dream. Isn't that freshman too powerful? Some of the seniors who were watching the show whispered. At that moment, Xue Changfeng's face was as gloomy as water. His eyes were filled with a dense killing intent. A freshman had sent a member of the Blood Dragon Gang flying with a single slap. For the Blood Dragon Gang, this was a great humiliation. Swish. Xue Changfeng moved. He walked towards Lin Feng. A terrifying aura was emitted from Xue Changfeng's body. His robe fluttered in the wind. His eyes emitted a chilling light. Kid, no wonder you dared to be so impudent in front of my Blood Dragon Gang. It turns out that you have some ability. But if you think that you can be impudent in front of my Blood Dragon Gang because you have some ability, then you are gravely mistaken. Xue Changfeng's cold voice sounded. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. From the beginning, it was your Blood Dragon Gang that was arrogant. Now it's me who is impudent. Ridiculous. I think your Blood Dragon Gang is the Azure Dragon Institute's parasite. Kid, you dare to humiliate my Blood Dragon Gang. I think you're courting death. Xue Changfeng coldly snorted. He leaped out and punched at Lin Feng. Xue Changfeng is personally making a move. Xue Changfeng is a 7th heavenly layer martial master. With him personally making a move, that kid is finished. That's right, that kid is doomed. Many students who were watching the show exclaimed. Although Lin Feng had displayed shocking strength, Xue Changfeng was too terrifying. 7th heavenly layer martial master. A character on the Mountain River list. How could such a powerful existence be something that a new student could resist? Xue Changfeng's fist was called the 7-killing fist. Heaven killing, earth killing, beast killing, soul killing, spirit killing, blood killing, God killing. This was the so-called 7-killing fist. The 7-killing fist condensed together, violent and tyrannical. Xue Changfeng relied on the 7-killing fist to rarely find an opponent in the 7th heavenly layer martial master realm. In fact, he had once relied on the 7-killing fist to fight against an 8th heavenly layer martial master for more than 10 moves without being defeated. Now, seeing Xue Changfeng displaying the 7-killing fist, those who understood Xue Changfeng knew how terrifying the 7-killing fist was. Naturally, no one was optimistic that a freshman like Lin Feng could withstand the 7-killing fist's power. At that moment, Xue Changfeng's 7 deadly punches were about to crash onto Lin Feng's body, but at that moment, Lin Feng moved. Boom! Lin Feng made his move, punching at Xue Changfeng. Bang! Following an earth-shattering sound, everyone saw a figure flying out like a kite with a broken string. Kacha! Kacha! In midair, the person's arm was broken. Watching this scene, every student's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. because the person who flew out with his arm broken was actually Shui Changfeng. Chapter 201. Plop. Shui Changfeng fell to the ground in a sorry state. Ah, my arm, my arm. Shui Changfeng hugged the arm that was broken by Lin Feng, letting out a miserable shriek. Pain engulfed his entire body, causing him to roll on the ground, wailing in pain. This. All the spectating students were speechless. Shui Changfeng was an expert on the mountain river list, although he was ranked towards the bottom of the mountain river list. But even those at the bottom of the mountain river list had heaven-defying strength. Lin Feng was just a new student. One punch, just one punch, and he defeated Shui Changfeng. This made everyone feel as if they were dreaming. But, however, everything that had happened was real. Too strong. Really too strong. A new student is actually this strong. Who is this person? Many students whispered to each other, discussing fervently. They were extremely curious about Lin Feng's identity. Little brat, are you challenging my Blood Dragon Gang's prestige? Right at this time, a cold voice sounded from the mission hall. Boom. Accompanied by a terrifying aura, a young noble stepped out. This young noble was Mu Yunfan. However, Mu Yunfan's expression was extremely ugly. Beside Mu Yunfan were two other young men, both Azure Dragon Institute students. The tall and thin one was called Wu Fan, and the other was a young man with a medium build called Feng Chun. Shui Changfeng, Wu Fan, Feng Chun. These three people were Mu Yunfan's most capable subordinates. They had always been by Mu Yunfan's side, following him blindly. Within the Azure Dragon Institute, they were arrogant and despotic. Nobody dared to provoke them. Earlier, Mu Yunfan had sent the weakest one, Shui Changfeng, to deal with Lin Feng. Shui Changfeng was a 7th Heavenly Layer Martial Master, whereas Wu Fan and Feng Chun were both 8th Heavenly Layer Martial Masters. Initially, Mu Yunfan thought that Shui Changfeng could easily deal with Lin Feng. However, he never thought that Shui Changfeng would be easily dealt with by Lin Feng. Seeing this, Mu Yunfan's expression turned ugly. As the saying goes, before you beat a dog, you have to look at its owner. Mu Yunfan was filled with coldness towards Lin Feng. From Mu Yunfan's cold gaze, it was clear that he wanted nothing more than to cripple Lin Feng to establish his authority. Lin Feng said faintly, "Did I provoke you? I don't think that's the case. From the beginning to the end, it's your Blood Dragon Gang that acts arrogantly. Before you want to bully others, you should first consider whether you have the strength to do so. Before you act, you should be aware that you will be trampled under the feet of others." Good. Mu Yunfan said good 3 times in a row, showing the anger in his heart. He coldly said, "Cripple him." This was indeed the style of the Blood Dragon Gang. Even in the Azure Dragon Institute, they dared to openly cripple an Azure Dragon Institute disciple. However, the Blood Dragon Gang's influence was huge, yet they dared to do so. Even if the Azure Dragon Institute's teachers, attendants, and elders saw this, they would turn a blind eye to it, or simply act as if they did not see anything. As long as it was within the Azure Dragon Institute, who would dare to provoke the Blood Dragon Gang? Swoosh, swoosh. After receiving Mu Yunfan's order, Wu Fan and Feng Chun dashed toward Lin Feng, each with a sinister grin on their faces. Heavens! Wu Fan and Feng Chun are attacking together. Both of them are peak 8th Heavenly Layer Martial Masters. If it was one-on-one, that kid might be able to deal with 1 or 2 of them. But now, he has to face 2 powerful characters alone. This is troublesome. Many people cried out in alarm. Wu Fan and Feng Chun were both famous experts in the Azure Dragon Institute. Now, they were attacking together against Lin Feng. Naturally, no one was optimistic that Lin Feng would win. Moreover, Wu Fan and Feng Chun were indeed powerful. One on the left, the other on the right, they charged at Lin Feng. Wu Fan displayed the move, Tiger Fights the Heavens and Earth. Like a ferocious tiger, fighting the heavens and earth, Wu Fan pounced on Lin Feng. On the other hand, Feng Chun displayed the move, 9 lightning strikes, striking out 9 palms in succession, overlapping each other. The power of each attack increased exponentially. Both of their powerful attacks exploded, reaching Lin Feng in the blink of an eye. At this time, Lin Feng made his move. Boom. Two consecutive punches were aimed at Wu Fan and Feng Chun. Wu Fan and Feng Chun were sent flying like kites with their strings cut. Kacha, kacha. In midair, their arms were broken. Ah, both of them let out blood-curdling screams. Seconds? Instant kill? Everyone was dumbfounded as they watched this duel. No one had expected such a situation. Wu Fan and Feng Chun were both 8th Heavenly Layer martial masters. In everyone's opinion, the one to lose would definitely be Lin Feng. But the result was, Wu Fan and Feng Chun were instantly killed by Lin Feng. Strong. Too strong. Who exactly is that brat? Many people began to shout hysterically. Lin Feng instantly defeated Wu Fan and Feng Chen's combined attacks, but it did not shock anyone. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying chi exploded behind Lin Feng. Everyone saw that Mu Yunfan had made his move. Mu Yunfan was able to become the number 3 person in the Blood Dragon gang, not only because of his extraordinary status, but also because of his strength, which was extremely powerful. Mu Yunfan had already cultivated to the peak of the 9th Heavenly Layer Martial Master Realm and could enter the 10th Heavenly Layer Martial Master Realm at any time. In the Mountain River list, Mu Yunfan was ranked 45. This was enough to show how powerful and terrifying Mu Yunfan was. Now, Mu Yunfan suddenly exploded and attacked Lin Feng. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Mu Yunfan's attack was too sudden and too fast. When everyone saw Mu Yunfan's figure, Mu Yunfan was already in front of Lin Feng. His body was like a dragon soaring. This move was called Great Dragon Fist, and its power was incomparably terrifying. A fist flew towards Lin Feng. This was a fist that could not be dodged. That brat will not be able to dodge this fist. Many people cried out in alarm. There were also some people who were disdainful of Mu Yunfan. This was because Mu Yunfan's attack was a sneak attack. It caught Lin Feng off guard. This kind of method was somewhat despicable. But in a battle between cultivators, defeating the opponent was the most important. Everyone would only remember the winner and not the loser. Mu Yunfan was a person who would do anything to achieve his goals. At that moment, Lin Feng's body was about to explode. Shua. Everyone saw that. As if he had teleported, Lin Feng had actually disappeared. Mu Yunfan's attack missed. How is this possible? Mu Yunfan roared in disbelief. Look, behind. Someone cried out in shock. Mu Yunfan was shocked and turned around to look. He only saw a large foot coming towards his face. Bang! Lin Feng descended from the sky and kicked Mu Yunfan in the face, sending him flying a dozen meters. When Mu Yunfan's flames reached Huang Xiaolong, the devouring black hole's power, all the flames were sucked into the black hole. How is this possible? Mu Yunfan screamed in disbelief. His martial spirit had been destroyed just like that? Mu Yunfan, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have a little bit of strength. The Azure Dragon Institute is filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Lin Feng coldly made a move. His speed was too fast, as if the ground had shrunk, appearing in front of Mu Yunfan in an instant. His palm struck out at Mu Yunfan. You dare? Mu Yunfan realized that he couldn't dodge Lin Feng's attack in time. He screamed at the top of his lungs, threatening Huang Xiaolong. What's there to be afraid of? Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. His palm was about to strike. Right at this moment, a silhouette flashed out from the mission hall, striking out with a palm. Bang! This person and Lin Feng collided. Thump, thump, thump. Lin Feng only felt a terrifying force sweeping over him, forcing him back several steps. Martial General. Lin Feng's eyebrows slightly raised. Brat, where it's possible to let people off, one should be lenient. Today's matter. Give me some face and let it go. How about it? The person who attacked was a thin, middle-aged man, his gaze sinister. It's the mission hall's third elder, Zhao Wuming. A student exclaimed. What? You want to stop me? Lin Feng coldly looked at Zhao Wuming. Zhao Wuming said, This elder only wants to be a peacemaker, to turn hostility into friendship. Lin Feng sneered. What a joke. Just now when these people were bullying me, why didn't you appear to be a peacemaker? When Mu Yunfan attacked, why didn't you stop him? Now that Mu Yunfan isn't my opponent. You want to be a peacemaker? You better get out of my way, otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Everyone was dumbstruck looking at Lin Feng. Didn't this guy know that the mission hall's elders were all martial general experts? He actually dared to treat a martial general expert with such an attitude. Zhao Wuming's face sank. His cold gaze fell on Lin Feng. Brat, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth, daring to be so rude to an Azure Dragon Institute elder. Don't you understand the simple principle of respecting one's teacher? Lin Feng disdainfully retorted, if you were just, I would naturally respect you as an Azure Dragon Institute elder, but you're so biased. Why should I respect you? Shua. The moment his words fell, Lin Feng moved, dashing toward Mu Yunfan. Brat, you dare to be so arrogant? Zhao Wuming snorted, his palm striking out at Lin Feng. This Zhao Wuming was truly shameless to the extreme. As an Azure Dragon Institute elder, he actually dared to attack an Azure Dragon Institute student. Many people saw that Zhao Wuming was attacking Lin Feng, and their facial expressions changed drastically. Zhao Wuming was a strong cultivator of the general layer. Chapter 203. You're Lin Feng? The mission hall elder Zhao Wuming looked at Lin Feng with a chilling gaze. However, he did not attack again. Zhao Wuming was a first heavenly layer martial general, possessing the strength of one dragon. Yet, he was forced back by Lin Feng. Zhao Wuming knew that Lin Feng's strength far surpassed his own. Lin Feng nodded and said, What? Do you still want to try out my methods? You. Coldness flashed through Zhao Wuming's eyes. Lin Feng wouldn't give someone like Zhao Wuming any face. Face was mutual. Zhao Wuming had a deep relationship with the Blood Dragon gang, and he had just tricked him. Why should Lin Feng give Zhao Wuming any face? What's going on? At this time, a dignified voice sounded. Then, a tall and sturdy elder wearing a white robe walked out from the mission hall. Mission Hall Grand Elder Wanren Kanglin. Some students cried out in surprise, clearly recognizing the elder's identity. The Mission Hall Grand Elder was definitely one of the Azure Dragon Institute's upper echelons. Grand Elder. Zhao Wuming quickly saluted Wanren Kanglin. Disciple greets Grand Elder. Many students saluted Wanren Kanglin. Dispense with the formalities. Wanren Kanglin nodded. He looked at the situation around him and frowned slightly. Zhao Wuming, what happened here? Wanren Kanglin asked. Reporting to Grand Elder, it was Lin Feng. He relied on his high cultivation and didn't get along well with others, so he heavily injured them. Grand Elder, please take a look. These students were all injured by Lin Feng. Zhao Wuming directly complained like a villain. Hiss, hiss. Many students in the surroundings booed Zhao Wuming. Clearly, Lin Feng didn't need to explain anything. These students had already explained everything for Lin Feng. You are Lin Feng? Wanren Kanglin asked. Disciple is. Lin Feng bowed. Wanren Kanglin nodded. Do you have anything to say? Lin Feng replied, Justice is in everyone's heart. My heart can bear witness to the moon. Good. Justice is in the hearts of the people. My heart can bear witness to the moon. Wanren Kanglin's aged eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at Zhao Wuming, and his expression immediately turned cold. He said coldly, Zhao Wuming, do you think this old man is muddle-headed because of old age? Zhao Wuming was so frightened that he knelt on the ground with a thump and kept kowtowing. Great Elder, Wuming knows his wrongs. Wuming won't dare to do it again. Please have mercy, Great Elder. Wanren Kanglin sneered. My mission hall has strict requirements regarding the conduct of our elders. Since your conduct is improper, pack your things and leave the Azure Dragon Institute. Good. The Great Elder is truly wise. Many students clapped and cheered. Come with me. Wanren Kanglin looked at Lin Feng. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and followed Wanren Kanglin into the mission hall. Zhao Wuming was expelled from the Azure Dragon Institute by Wanren Kanglin, so he hated Wanren Kanglin to the core. Of course, he hated Lin Feng even more. A pair of venomous eyes stared at Lin Feng. The mission hall was divided into 3 floors. The first floor was where the Azure Dragon Institute issued all kinds of missions. Huge crystal screens hung on the walls, displaying all kinds of missions. These crystal screens were called memory crystals. After being strengthened by a spirit array master, they could imprint all kinds of information and then display it. It was very convenient. The second floor was where the mission hall stored all kinds of files. The third floor was where the students could rest. Wenren Kanglin brought Lin Feng to a living room. Sit, Wenren Kanglin said. How can a junior sit in front of an elder? Lin Feng said with a smile. Wenren Kanglin smiled and said, Actually, I have always wanted to see you, but because I went out to deal with some matters, I just returned. I am very good friends with your teacher, Sun Tiantu. I heard him mention you more than once from Old Man Sunday. Lin Feng didn't think that Wenren Kanglin and Sun Tiantu had such a relationship. He said, if this junior knew about the relationship between elder and teacher, I would have come to visit elder. I hope elder won't blame this junior for being rude. Haha, Old Man Sun has taught a humble and polite disciple. Wenren Kanglin said with a smile. This is junior's duty. Lin Feng said with a smile. Wenren Kanglin looked at Lin Feng with admiration and said, Many young people nowadays are too impetuous. Do you think that I am biased towards you because you are my good friend's disciple? Lin Feng thought for a moment and said, This disciple doesn't think so. Oh? Wenren Kanglin looked at Lin Feng with interest. Those people who fought with me were from the Blood Dragon Gang. The Blood Dragon Gang has a huge influence in the Azure Dragon Institute. There is also a huge interest group behind the Blood Dragon Gang, which has the shadow of many big families in the true martial country. I also heard that the Blood Dragon Gang is backed by the 8th Prince and several other princes. I think that this group should serve the 8th Prince. I personally believe that the Azure Dragon Institute should serve the true martial country and not some princes. The Blood Dragon Gang has already crossed the line. After pausing for a moment, Lin Feng continued, As for Zhao Wuming, he has a relationship with the Blood Dragon Gang. This also goes against the Azure Dragon Institute's rules. The Azure Dragon Institute does not participate in the true martial country's battles. Since Zhao Wuming is able to hold an important position in the mission hall, there is obviously someone behind him. If Elder wants to kick him out of the mission hall, it won't be easy. Moreover, Zhao Wuming's bad conduct is one of the reasons, and his brazen collusion with the Blood Dragon Gang is another reason. Elder can use today's matter to kick Zhao Wuming out. Even if the person behind Zhao Wuming interferes, they won't be able to reverse the situation. Hearing Lin Feng's explanation, Wenren Kanglin's eyes lit up. What Lin Feng said was exactly what he was thinking. Wenren Kanglin didn't expect Lin Feng to be so intelligent. He could see through the root of the matter with a single glance. Powerful cultivation talent, powerful spiritual array talent, demon-like intelligence, low-key and humble. This kind of person, who knew how far he would grow in the future. Wenren Kanglin couldn't help but think in shock. I don't know if what this junior said is correct. Lin Feng looked at Wenren Kanglin. Wenren Kanglin came back to his senses and nodded. He smiled and said, What you said is very correct. This Zhao Wuming was arranged by a big shot. This time, Zhao Wuming has been resolved. Lin Feng said, The Blood Dragon Gang is a big tree that attracts the wind. They don't know how to restrain themselves. Sooner or later, disaster will befall them. Wenren Kanglin smiled and said, This involves the battle for the throne, but it has nothing to do with us. The Azure Dragon Institute does not participate in these matters. Lin Feng nodded. He was wholeheartedly focused on the martial path. He hoped to join an ancient power in the future and continue to cultivate in order to become a peerless expert. He didn't have the slightest interest in secular imperial power. Chapter 204. This time, the Azure Dragon Institute took advantage of the chaos in the Beastmen Empire that bordered the true martial country to issue an order to train their students. Wenren Kanglin began to talk about the chaos in the Beastman Empire. The Tianwu continent's 3,000 provinces were vast and boundless. There were ancient countries controlled by humans, countries controlled by demonic beasts, and empires controlled by beastmen. These countries were in conflict with each other, and wars would erupt every year. However, the Orc Empire, which was adjacent to the real Wushu country, had not started a war for many years. Now, it was rioting again, unilaterally tearing up the peace treaty signed between the real Wushu country and the Orc Empire. This matter caused a huge uproar in the real Wushu country. Lin Feng said, Haven't the Beastman Empire and the true martial country always been at peace? Why are they invading the true martial country now? Wondering Kanglin said, there are rumors that the demonic path is involved, but we can't jump to conclusions as to whether the demonic path is really involved. The 3,000 provinces had their own rules. The various top powers, such as the ancient powers and the demonic path's ancient powers, such as the Soul Devourer Palace, couldn't participate in the war between the secular empires. Otherwise, they would be surrounded and annihilated by the other powers. Therefore, no one dared to openly challenge the 3,000 provinces' rules. However, if there were some powers that didn't want to be left out and were manipulating things behind the scenes, there was a high possibility. Lin Feng said, then this matter can't just be seen as an attack by the Beastman Empire. The Institute Master has already rushed to the Sun Moon City to report this matter. If the demonic path's powerful forces are really involved, they will definitely be stopped by the Sun Moon City. However, the Beastman Empire isn't easy to deal with. The Beastman Empire is located in a relatively barren country. The Beastman Empire's people are naturally warlike. Once a war is started, there will be a rain of blood. Wenren Kanglin was a bit worried. He was a cultivator from the true martial country, so he naturally hoped that the country would be peaceful. He didn't want to see war, because war often meant blood and death. How many innocent people would have their families destroyed because of war? Lin Feng said, I just don't know what we can do when we go to the border. Wenren Kanglin smiled and said, when the time comes, there will be people who will arrange the specific tasks for you. After chatting for a while, Lin Feng bid farewell to Wenren Kanglin. As the saying goes, everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of a country. This time, the Beastman Empire's invasion of the true martial country had caused many of the Azure Dragon Institute students to feel indignant at the injustice. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, let's go down and pass through this area. Everyone nodded and jumped down from their griffins. Haha, farewell everyone. The griffin's owner cupped his fists at Lin Feng's group, then rode his griffin back to the Falling Moon Plains. Lin Feng's group entered the Falling Moon Plains. The origin of the Falling Moon Plain was very mysterious. According to legends, in the immemorial era, a godly moon fell from the sky and fell on this place. Because of this place became famous, and the name of the Falling Moon Plain came from that. In the depths of the Falling Moon Plain was the Falling Moon Mountain Range. It was shaped like a crescent moon, but it was a forbidden area. It was very scary and very few people dared to go there. The true martial country had built the Falling Moon City in the Falling Moon Plains, less than 100 li away from the Beastman Empire. Lin Feng's group traveled deeper into the plains. 3 days later, they arrived at a dense forest in the Falling Moon Plains. At a water source, Lin Feng's group stopped to rest. Late at night, wolf howls could be heard from time to time. Looking from afar, one could see packs of wolves howling at the moon on some mountain peaks. It was an eerie scene. Watching this scene, many people felt their hair stand on end. A pack of wolves was definitely one of the scariest pack beasts. Roar. In the middle of the night, a low roar could be heard, waking Lin Feng's group from their deep sleep. A terrifying aura filled the forest. In the darkness, a pair of pale green eyes stared at Lin Feng's group, who were resting by the campfire. Not good, there's a dire beast. Chapter 205. The terrifying aura of the vicious beasts alarmed everyone. Everyone's face suddenly changed. This was because once they encountered a vicious beast, it wasn't as simple as just one or two. It was very likely that there would be a group of them. This was too terrifying. Don't panic. Calm down. Lin Feng shouted loudly, gather together. Don't give these vicious beasts a chance to attack you alone. Everyone quickly gathered together. Roar. A deep roar resounded through the air. Following that, vicious beasts rushed out one after another. Seeing these vicious beasts, Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. These were huge wolves that were 5 to 6 meters tall. Their huge bodies gave everyone a suffocating feeling. Those pairs of pale green eyes emitted a gaze that made people's hearts palpitate. These are silver-eyed blood wolves. Someone cried out in alarm. I've seen the introduction of these vicious beasts. It's said that silver-eyed blood wolves are at least at the 8th sky of the martial master realm. The leader of the silver-eyed blood wolves is at the 10th sky of the martial master realm. If it's a wolf king, it should be at the martial general realm. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was too terrifying. A wolf pack was definitely one of the most terrifying vicious beasts that lived in groups. What was even more terrifying was that more and more silver-eyed blood wolves appeared in the forest. There seemed to be a rather large wolf pack here. Soon, there were 500 to 600 silver-eyed blood wolves gathered around. It's over. We're surrounded by wolves. Some of the students were so scared that their faces were as white as paper. We have weapons in our hands. If we don't panic, we will definitely be able to defeat these wolves. Listen to my orders. The first 2 rows of students will take out shields to defend. The second 2 rows of students will attack with spears. The rest of you, use bows and arrows to kill these silver-eyed blood wolves. Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. These students had already prepared all kinds of things before they arrived. After all, they had to support the fallen Moon City against the Orc Empire's army. They had to fight against the Orc Empire's army. Therefore, everyone had prepared bows and arrows, shields, and other war tools. When the crowd heard Lin Feng's orders, they calmed down. Everybody followed Lin Feng's orders in an orderly manner. Some people took out shields, some held sharp swords. That was the first line of defense. Some people took out spears. That was the second line of defense. Some people took out gigantic bows. That was the third line of defense. Everybody was on the battlefield in an orderly manner. And Lin, calm. Arrows were shot out one after another. Those silver-eyed blood wolves were extremely fast. They quickly dodged the arrows that were shot at them. Many arrows were dodged by the silver-eyed blood wolf. Of course, there were also some arrows that shot into the silver-eyed blood wolf's body. Bang! Some of the silver-eyed blood wolves fell to the ground. Their bodies twitched violently, and they died not long after. But many of the silver-eyed blood wolves rushed over. Their huge claws slashed at the shields. The huge impact caused many students' palms to split open. Blood immediately flowed out from their wounds. Hold on, spearmen, attack! Lin Feng shouted. Immediately, the second row of students stabbed the silver-eyed blood wolves with their spears. Puff, puff. The sharp spears pierced through the silver-eyed blood wolves' bodies. The silver-eyed blood wolves let out mournful cries and fell to the ground, dead. Some of the silver-eyed blood wolves jumped up, trying to jump into the crowd. Above, kill! Long Shiyu shouted loudly, leading the second batch of spear-wielding students towards the silver-eyed blood wolf that had leapt into the air. Although these silver-eyed blood wolves were very powerful, it was not easy for them to dodge the attacks of the crowd when they were in mid-air. Puff, puff, puff. Sounds of bodies being pierced rang in the air. One by one, the silver-eyed blood wolves' bodies were pierced through, dying on the spot. Under everyone's concerted efforts, the silver-eyed blood wolves that had pounced on them were all killed. Although there were some injured on Lin Feng's side, there were no fatalities. In the depths of the forest, there were more than 100 people. These people were tall and burly, very similar to humans, but there were some fundamental differences. For example, one of them was 3 meters tall with a crocodile tail. This was a beast man, a member of the crocodile tail tribe. These people were all beast men. Among them was a skinny, middle-aged man riding on a giant silver-eyed blood wolf. That silver-eyed blood wolf actually had golden fur. That golden silver-eyed blood wolf was the Wolf King. Damn it! These Azure Dragon Institute students have never experienced the baptism of life and death battles. How can they organize their forces in such an orderly manner? Shouldn't these people be scattered by the wolf pack, and then be torn apart by the silver-eyed blood wolves? Sitting on the silver-eyed blood wolf's back, a man clad in a blood-red robe said in a gloomy voice. A Tiger-Man Beast-Man expert spoke up, Honorable Beast Tamer Lord Amansa. There must be a great character on the human side. Let's retreat. His Highness Prince Kelt is still waiting for Lord Amansa's arrival in the Beastmen army. These lowly humans have killed so many of my Beastman Empire's brave silver-eyed blood wolves, yet you want to retreat at this time? Do you want to sully your noble Beastman bloodline? The blood-red robed man coldly retorted. The Tiger Man Beast Man expert spoke up, "Honorable Lord Amansa, we are not surrendering, nor are we afraid. It's because Lord Amansa is too important to the Beastmen army. His Highness Prince Kelt still needs to rely on Lord Amansa's beast army. Let's deal with these human ants first. Then, it won't be too late to go see His Highness Prince Kelt. These human heads will be my gift to His Highness." The blood-red robed man looked at the Tiger Man Beast Man expert and said, "Centurion, lead the great Beastmen soldiers and join the silver-eyed blood wolves in exterminating these lowly human ants." The Tiger Man Beast Man hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he nodded. Swish! He unsheathed the blood-red blade at his waist and shouted, "Brave Beastmen soldiers, follow me and kill these human cultivators." Roar! The Beastmen soldiers roared excitedly. Beastmen were savage and violent by nature, and they loved to kill. They had long since been unable to restrain themselves, and now that they had received the order to attack, they were all excited. Kill! Over 200 Beastmen charged towards Lin Feng and the others. Rumble! The earth shook as the sounds of battle shook the heavens. Lin Feng and the others, who were defending against the silver-eyed blood wolves, also heard the deafening battle cries. Wu Ming pointed in the distance, terrified. "Captain, it's the Beastmen army." Everyone looked in that direction, and when they saw the dense mass of Beastmen charging towards them, their faces paled. Chapter 206. Beastmen Soldiers. Beastmen Soldiers. Could these Beastmen soldiers control the silver-eyed blood wolves? Long Shiyu said in a deep voice, "Beastmen soldiers and silver-eyed blood wolves. There must be a beast tamer hiding nearby." A beast tamer? Lin Feng looked at Long Shiyu in surprise. Long Shiyu said, "A beast tamer can control beasts. This kind of person is very rare even in the Beastman Empire. There must be a beast tamer passing through here to support the Beastmen army. He just happened to bump into us and decided to kill us. Back then, when the Zhenwu country fought against the Beastman Empire, we suffered losses because of the beast tamers. We lost tens of thousands of soldiers." Hiss! Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. A beast tamer was too terrifying. A beast tamer could summon countless beasts to fight. It was terrifying. "Captain, what do we do now? The Beastman Empire soldiers are coming." A student asked with a pale face. His eyes were filled with fear and despair. Dealing with the wolf pack was already very difficult, not to mention that there were so many Beastmen soldiers. Furthermore, the Beastmen soldiers had the advantage in numbers. Lin Feng's face was very grave. He knew that they were in a very dangerous situation. It was very likely that they would all be wiped out. Phew! He took a deep breath. Lin Feng stretched out his right hand, and pure energy appeared on his fingertips. Then, Lin Feng drew a line in the air, leaving behind a spiritual mark. "That's a great blessing technique. I am willing to sacrifice my blood in exchange for its power," Lin Feng muttered. Pooh! In the next moment, he cut his wrist, and blood spurted out. The blood burned and fused with the spiritual marks. This was a secret technique that Sun Tiantu had taught Lin Feng. This kind of spirit array technique was extremely powerful, but it required a huge sacrifice. Lin Feng had sacrificed his own blood in order to use this formation technique. Lin Feng immediately felt weak. "I offer my blood as a sacrifice in exchange for great divine power to transform into divine armor." As Lin Feng's voice fell, Lin Feng lightly tapped Long Shiyu who was beside him. Whoosh! A crimson armor appeared on Long Shiyu's body. The crimson armor covered his entire body. Heavens! What kind of technique is this? Spirit array techniques? This is a spirit array technique supported by the divine armor. I've read about it in an ancient book. It's an extremely ancient spirit array technique. Captain is actually a spirit array master. Some of the students exclaimed in surprise. After all, a person's energy was limited. The strength that Lin Feng had displayed had already shocked everyone. Now that he had displayed his attainments in spiritual arrays, it naturally shocked everyone. Swish swish, blood-red armor covered the bodies of these students. Lin Feng's face, however, became extremely pale. He had sacrificed a large amount of blood, and felt unprecedentedly weak. "Captain, are you all right?" Long Shiyu saw that Lin Feng couldn't stand steadily and hurriedly supported Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "I'm fine. Everyone, remember, the armor can only last for half an hour. After half an hour, the armor will disappear. We must try our best to kill these enemies within half an hour." "Captain, don't worry. We will definitely annihilate these Beastman soldiers." Many of the students gritted their teeth. Roar, roar, roar. The soldiers of the Beastman Empire rushed over. "Kill." Long Shiyu held his halberd and jumped out, taking the lead to kill a Beastman. The rest of the students also charged towards the Beastmen. The chaotic battle immediately began. Lin Feng leaned against a tree to recover. This kind of weak state made him feel terrible, especially at this critical moment of the battle. That boy seems to be the leader of these people. Kill him. Two Beastman soldiers saw Lin Feng and quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. "Protect the captain." The two students shouted and rushed towards the two Beastmen. The two Beastmen sneered and waved their huge axes, colliding with the two students. The two students were immediately sent flying a dozen meters away. Then, the two Beastmen rushed towards Lin Feng with their huge axes and chopped towards Lin Feng. "I'll devour you to recover." Lin Feng's expression was extremely cold. He activated his devouring martial spirit. Boom! A black hole appeared and enveloped the two Beastmen. The most terrifying thing about the devouring martial spirit was that it could devour. The two Beastmen soldiers who were enveloped by the black hole cried out in pain. Soon, their vitality was completely sucked away. The two Beastmen's bodies withered. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was full of energy. "Human boy, die." In the distance, a Beastman soldier charged towards Lin Feng with his huge hammer. Lin Feng remained indifferent. The black dragon sword in his hand moved as fast as lightning. Puff! The Beastman soldier's head was chopped off in an instant. The battle was extremely fierce. The Beastmen and silver-eyed blood wolves besieged the Azure Dragon Institute students. On the Azure Dragon Institute side, relying on the protection of the blood-colored Saint armor, they were able to withstand the Beastmen's attacks. Not only that, their counterattacks were successful. Many Beastmen were killed, but at the same time, several Azure Dragon Institute disciples were also killed. This was a life and death battle. In the end, people had to die. Go to hell. The Tiger-Man Centurion's roar shook the heavens. The huge axe in his hand chopped down on Lin Feng. This Tiger-Man Centurion was actually a martial general expert. His strength exceeded one dragon's strength, but it had yet to reach two dragons' strength. Lin Feng guessed that this Tiger-Man Centurion's strength should be at the first heavenly layer of the martial general realm. The Tigerman tribe was one of the largest tribes among the Beastmen tribes. This tribe's talent was extraordinary. Cultivators of the same level as humans were much stronger than human cultivators of the same level. However, Lin Feng's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. He was not afraid of this Tiger-Man Centurion. Brandishing the black dragon sword, he slashed down. Clang! The two weapons in their hands collided. The powerful shockwaves spread out, causing cracks to appear on the ground. This Tiger-Man Centurion's strength was indeed formidable. It was not easy for Lin Feng to deal with him. The Tiger-Man Centurion's face was filled with a sinister grin. Suddenly, he opened his bloody mouth. Roar! A low growl reverberated in the air. Terrifying sound waves swept out. This was actually a soul attack. This Tiger-Man Centurion wanted to injure Lin Feng's soul, then seized the opportunity when Lin Feng's soul was injured to kill Lin Feng in one fell swoop. Chapter 207. Fierce battles were taking place in the mountains and forests. Fierce battles were taking place in every place. Bang! A Beastman warrior's giant sword viciously smashed into an Azure Dragon Institute student's body. That student was smashed to the ground, vomiting blood. Because of the Saint Armor's protection, this student was not directly killed by the Beastman warrior. That Beastman warrior let out a sinister laugh, raising the giant sword in his hand, ready to cut off this Azure Dragon Institute student's head. But right at this time, the Azure Dragon Institute disciple gritted his teeth and leaped up. The sharp sword in his hand directly pierced through the beastman's chest. The beastman's corpse fell to the ground with a loud thud, dead. Such battles were taking place in every corner of the forest. If it weren't for Lin Feng's Saint Armor's protection, the Azure Dragon Institute students might not have been completely annihilated, but at least half of them would have died. But with Lin Feng's Saint Armor, not only did it allow many people to survive, but it also allowed many people to die. In the midst of life and death battles, these students killed many beastmen warriors. This was war, blood and iron, slaughter and death. On the other side, the Tiger Tribe Centurion's tiger roar filled the sky. He used this sound wave attack, wanting to harm Lin Feng. However, the Tiger Tribe Centurion's wishful thinking was wrong. If it were someone else, a sound wave attack might be effective. But against Lin Feng, it was completely useless. The first reason was because Lin Feng had practiced a secret soul technique which allowed him to protect his soul from being injured by other soul techniques. The second reason was that Lin Feng's soul had already broken through to the Huang Qi layer. The Centurion had only broken through to the first Qi layer. How could his soul attack harm Lin Feng? Therefore, Lin Feng was not affected in the slightest. Moreover, Lin Feng made his move in the blink of an eye, appearing in front of the Tiger Tribe Centurion as if the earth had shrunk. He directly summoned his devouring martial spirit, condensing a magnetic field in the air, enveloping the Tiger Tribe Centurion. These beastmen's strength was incomparable, far surpassing human cultivators of the same level. This was the beastmen's innate advantage. However, the beastmen had their own disadvantages, and that was, they did not have a martial spirit. Only humans had a martial spirit. Whether it was the beastmen, demonic beasts, demons, or other races, none of them had a martial spirit. When Lin Feng summoned his martial spirit, the Tiger Centurion's place was trapped. Not good. The Tiger Centurion's expression Centurion, his reaction was extremely fast. Roar. The Centurion roared and turned into a ferocious tiger. This was beast transformation. Although beast men didn't have martial souls, they could transform into beasts. Once they transformed into beasts, their strength would greatly increase. After the 100-man commander of the Tiger Clan transformed, he immediately felt the pressure disappear. He roared furiously and threw himself at Lin Feng. Wow, he actually turned into a tiger. Lin Feng was astonished, but then he smiled coldly and said, "Since you broke my magnetic field, you should have left quickly. Surprisingly, you dared attack me. You really want to die." Boom. Lin Feng released his second and third devouring martial spirit. The three spatial magnetic fields were superimposed. The Centurion of the Tigerman race suddenly felt an incomparably powerful pressure sweeping over and fiercely oppressing him. The Centurion Tiger Tribe's expression changed. He hadn't thought that Lin Feng would have an even more terrifying attack. It was too late for him to retreat. Lin Feng held the Black Dragon Sword and stabbed the Centurion Tiger Tribe's tigers. Slash. The sword pierced the Tiger Tribe's chest. The Tiger Tribe's tiger roared in pain and fell to the ground. It was dead. Master is dead. Master has been killed. Hurry up and run. When the other beastmen saw that Lin Feng had killed the Centurion Tiger Tribe's Centurion, they started shouting in fear. Beastmen Centurions were ferocious and violent, but that didn't mean that they weren't afraid of death. Beastmen Centurions were also afraid of death. They wouldn't die for nothing. A human who could kill their Centurion Tiger Tribe Centurion? What kind of strong cultivator was he? Thinking about that, the Beastmen Centurions didn't want to fight anymore. They just wanted to leave as soon as possible. The Beastmen Centurions were running away. The wolves were also running away frantically. "Brother Long, how are the casualties?" asked Lin Feng in a deep voice. He looked at the students. Many of them were injured, but they had been baptized by blood. Their eyes were filled with determination. 5 of our brothers died. 72 were seriously injured, and the rest only had light injuries, said Long Shiyu sadly. Some of the female students in the group started crying. The students who had come with them had been talking and laughing, but now they had turned into ice-cold corpses, said Lin Feng in a deep voice. "This is war. There's no war without death. We have to be strong and survive. We have to survive for ourselves and for our brothers who died." Everyone's gaze became firm and resolute. That's right, they had to survive. They had to survive. Brother Long, take everyone to Fallen Moon City. I will go and kill that beast tamer, said Lin Feng in a deep voice. No, you can't go alone. Pick 20 of the strongest to go with you, said Long Shiyu. That's right, it's too dangerous for you to go alone, said Xiao Yifei, Huang Ling and the others in unison. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. You have to be careful. I'll meet you in Fallen Moon City very soon, said Lin Feng. When Lin Feng finished talking, he jumped into the air like an eagle and disappeared from everybody's field of vision. His speed was so fast that nobody could react. Lin Feng had already disappeared without a trace. Captain is too strong, muttered Wu Ming. Let's go. Don't let the captain worry about us, said Long Shiyu in a deep voice. The group rushed to Fallen Moon City. Lin Feng unfolded his golden wings and quickly chased after the group of beast tamers. If it was an ordinary beast, Lin Feng could ignore them and run away. However, beast tamers were different. Beast tamers were extremely rare in the Beastman Empire, and they could control fierce beasts. Once the beast tamers gathered a large number of fierce beasts to form an army, it could be imagined how much damage it would cause to the Zhenwu country. At that time, blood would flow like rivers, and countless innocent people would die. Therefore, even though Lin Feng knew that it was very dangerous to chase after the beast tamers, he still did not hesitate. Everyone was responsible for the rise and fall of the country, and the country was in danger. Swish! Lin Feng was flying at full speed in the night sky. Finally, he saw a group of over 100 people. There were also over 300 silver-eyed bloodwolves, protecting a cultivator wearing a blood-red robe. They were moving towards the northwest at full speed. Chapter 208. Found it. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It was easy to identify the beastmen. The man in the blood-red robe, riding the silver-eyed Bloodwolf King, was the Beastmaster. The Beastmasters of the Beastman Empire had a very high status. They rarely participated in worldly wars, but there was no lack of Beastmasters who were greedy for wealth. They were recruited by the imperial family of the Beastman Empire and willingly became their lackeys. The blood-robed Beastmaster in front of him was one of them. Whoosh! There was a flash of light, and the God-splitting sun bow appeared in Lin Feng's hand. This was the treasure he had obtained after killing Nalan Tianjiao. It was a magic treasure. Magic treasures were forged by yin-yang experts at the very least. The genuine qi in their bodies transformed into powerful and pure dermic powers, and the weapons they forged were dermic artifacts. For example, flying swords. Magic treasures weren't just precious, they were also terrifying. Lin Feng held the God-splitting sun bow in his hand. He took out an arrow, shouted, and pulled the bowstring back. Whoosh! 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 One arrow after another flew towards the beastmen. The beastmen riding the silver-eyed bloodwolves were pierced through by the arrows. Thud! Thud! Their corpses fell to the ground. Not good. Enemy attack, shouted one of the beastmen. Damned human, how dare you chase after me? The blood-robed Beastmaster's eyes were gloomy as he looked behind him. In the sky, the Beastmaster's eyesight was astonishing. He saw Lin Feng's figure. Shoot him down, ordered the Beastmaster coldly. Yes, my lord. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Feng flashed through the air. His speed was as fast as lightning. He dodged the arrows shot by the beastmen. Then, Lin Feng pulled the bowstring and shot an arrow at the Beastmaster. The Beastmaster waved his robe, and Lin Feng's arrow was broken. Looks like this guy isn't weak either. Lin Feng's gaze turned serious. It was rumored that beast tamers mainly focused on the art of beast taming, and their cultivation was usually not very high. But that was only relative. Take the blood-robed beast tamer in front of him, for example. Lin Feng felt that this person's strength might be much stronger than the centurion of the Tiger clan. Sir, that brat is too agile. The arrows can't hurt him at all. I'll summon an army of birds to deal with him. The crimson-robed beast tamer laughed sinisterly. Screech, then. He let out a sharp, piercing cry. Very quickly, Lin Feng saw a blood-red cloud in the distance flying towards him. The speed of the blood cloud was extremely fast. It didn't take long for them to arrive in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked over, and a look of shock appeared on his face. It was actually a dense swarm of blood-colored bats. Vampire bat. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. There were too many vampire bats. They blotted out the sky and formed a blood cloud. These bats had clearly been summoned by the crimson-robed beast tamer. The crimson-robed beast tamer wanted to use these bats to kill Lin Feng. These vampiric bats had sharp fangs, and their fangs contained deadly poison. They only needed to lightly pierce a cultivator's skin. That cultivator would be finished. There were tens of thousands of them. There was simply no way to fight back. The dense swarm of bats drowned Lin Feng. The orc soldiers all had terrified expressions on their faces. Too terrifying. Was this the power of a beast tamer? No wonder His Highness had invited the crimson-robed beast tamer to participate in this battle. With a beast tamer like this, he would be able to summon an army of beasts. He would definitely be invincible. The crimson-robed beast tamer's lips curled into a cold smile. He seemed to already see Lin Feng being devoured by the bats. At that moment, endless flames suddenly erupted in the sky. The flames engulfed the world. The entire sky turned into a sea of fire. Screech. The dense swarm of bats let out ear-piercing screeches. Countless bats were enveloped by the heavenly fire and were instantly burnt to a crisp. This was the power of heavenly fire. Heavenly fire was a flame with terrifying offensive power. The bats were completely terrified. They frantically fled into the distance. Damn it! Come back and attack him. The crimson-robed beast tamer angrily roared. He tried to communicate with the Bat King, but this time, the Bat King refused to establish a mental connection with the crimson-robed beast tamer. The Bat King clearly had a certain level of intelligence. It knew that it couldn't kill Lin Feng. If it continued to attack, it would only cause more casualties to the bats. Therefore, the Bat King led the swarm of bats to quickly flee. Lin Feng was like a young war god reborn from the flames. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he walked out of the sea of fire. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He drew his bow and shot arrows. One arrow after another shot towards the beastmen soldiers. It was difficult to directly kill the crimson-robed beast tamer. Since that was the case, they would first get rid of the wings and then focus on killing the crimson-robed beast tamer. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of bodies being pierced rang out. One by one, the beastmen soldiers and silver-eyed blood wolves were killed by Lin Feng. Corpses constantly fell to the ground. Some of the beastmen soldiers were frightened by Lin Feng's killing. They rode their silver-eyed blood wolves and fled in other directions. Along the way, Lin Feng killed more than 100 beastmen soldiers and silver-eyed blood wolves. The rest of the beastmen soldiers and silver-eyed blood wolves fled in all directions. Lin Feng didn't chase after them. His target was the crimson-robed beast tamer. This person must die. Leave your life behind. Lin Feng shouted coldly and shot 9 arrows in a row. Chapter 209. The huge claw covered the sky and grabbed at Lin Feng. The monster was too huge. Lin Feng felt a dangerous aura. He quickly dodged in the air, thinking that he would be able to avoid the monster's attack. Who would have thought that the huge claw would ruthlessly slap Lin Feng? With a loud bang, Lin Feng was sent flying. Plop. Lin Feng fell on the ground and rolled a dozen times before stopping. He felt as if all the bones in his body had been broken. The monster's attack just now was too terrifying. At that moment, the monster crawled out of the crack. At that moment, Lin Feng finally saw what kind of monster it was. It was 1,000 meters tall, pitch black, swollen, and ugly. Earth demon. Surprisingly, it was such a monster. There were records of earth demons in the classic of mountains and seas. Earth demons were terrifying creatures born underground. They had the power to control the earth. This kind of demon was extremely terrifying. Looking at the mountain-like body of this earth fiend, one could tell how much power was contained in its body. Lin Feng crawled up from the ground and looked at the earth demon with a grave expression. Earth demon, help me kill that despicable human. The blood-red-robed beast tamer ordered. Great Master Beast Tamer, please wait for a moment. I will soon bring you the head of this human boy." The earth demon roared and pounced at Lin Feng. It waved its huge claw and ruthlessly slapped at Lin Feng. Not long ago, Lin Feng had already felt how terrifying the earth demon's attack was. His whole body was in extreme pain. He naturally knew that the difference in strength between him and the earth demon was too great. They weren't on the same level at all. Therefore, Lin Feng flapped his golden wings and quickly dodged the attacks. The earth demon attacked a dozen times in a row, but Lin Feng successfully dodged them all. This earth demon is too strong. I have to find an opportunity and use the black dragon sword to deal with it. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. Die, human. The earth devil roared and waved its giant claws, once again slapping towards Lin Feng. Whoosh! Lin Feng quickly dodged in the void. After dodging the earth fiend's attack, Lin Feng quickly rushed towards the earth fiend. He arrived at the earth fiend's side. Lin Feng pulled out the black dragon sword and directly stabbed towards the earth fiend's neck. Clang! It was as if this attack had pierced through an unbreakable armor. Numerous scales appeared on the earth fiend's neck, blocking Lin Feng's attack. This damned pervert! Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly dodged. But at this time, the earth demon's huge claws came again. With a loud bang, Lin Feng was sent flying by the earth fiend for the second time. Wow! Even with Lin Feng's abnormally strong body, he could not withstand this terrifying attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his face very pale. Roar! The earth fiend roared and charged towards Lin Feng again. Lin Feng hurriedly got up and quickly dodged the earth fiend's attack. Screech! At this time, the blood-robed beast tamer let out a sharp, ear-piercing cry again. He seemed to be summoning new beasts. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the distance, a ball of fire flew over. In the air, there was the sound of wings flapping. It turned out to be a dense swarm of bees lingering in the flames. Those bees were enormous in size. They were as big as a fist and had incomparably sharp thorns. These spikes could easily pierce through anyone's defense and then inject poison into the opponent's body. Inferno Killer Bee. When Lin Feng saw this flame giant bee, his expression suddenly changed. This type of Inferno Killer Bee was an extremely terrifying social creature. It was much more terrifying than the vampire bat swarm Lin Feng had seen before. From their name, one could tell how powerful these Inferno Killer Bees were. Almost no one could escape from the Inferno Killer Bee's venomous claws. This blood-robed beast tamer was truly a monster. He could even summon a swarm of Inferno Killer Bees. The dense swarm of Inferno Killer Bees rushed towards Lin Feng. Purple Earthcore Fire. Lin Feng growled. He summoned Heavenly Fire and burned these terrifying Inferno Killer Bees. When they saw the Heavenly Fire, the Inferno Killer Bees quickly retreated, all of them trembling. Great Master of Heavenly Fire, please forgive our ignorance. Suddenly, a pleading voice sounded in Lin Feng's mind. Inferno Killer Bee king the size of a washbasin flew out, looking at Lin Feng with a pleading expression. These killer bees are afraid of Heavenly Fire? Right. Inferno Killer Bees are fierce beasts of the fire race, and Heavenly Fire is a sacred item in the eyes of countless fire creatures. Refining Heavenly Fire would put a great deal of pressure on these fire creatures. That's why these killer bees are afraid of me. Thinking of this, Lin Feng smiled. He hadn't expected the blood-robed beast tamer to shoot himself in the foot. The blood-robed beast tamer had wanted the Inferno Killer Bees and the Earth Demon to work together to kill him, but he had miscalculated. The blood-robed beast tamer would never have guessed that Lin Feng's Heavenly Fire was the perfect counter to the Inferno Killer Bees. Help me get rid of the Earth Demon, then you can leave. Lin Feng said, I am willing to serve you, Great Master. The Inferno Killer Bee King humbly replied. Next, it emitted a strange cry, and the dense swarm of Inferno Killer Bees all flew towards the Earth Demon. Roar! The Earth Demon's roars shook the sky, and it swung its huge claws at the Inferno Killer Bees attacking it. Damn it, what's going on? When the blood-robed beast tamer saw this, his face fell. He was about to communicate with the Inferno Killer Bee King, but at that moment, Lin Feng had already rushed over. He raised his black dragon sword and slashed at the blood-robed beast tamer. Little boy, you're courting death. The blood-robed beast tamer's face fell. He waved his robe, and a black fog rolled out towards Lin Feng. Devour! Lin Feng immediately used his devouring spirit and devoured the black fog. He quickly arrived in front of the blood-robed beast tamer and fiercely slashed down with his sword. The blood-robed beast tamer's face fell. He had reacted extremely quickly, and when he saw that Lin Feng's sword was about to hit him, he quickly flew backwards and dodged Lin Feng's sword. However, his silver-eyed Blood Wolf King wasn't able to dodge so easily. The black dragon sword could cut through iron like it was mud. Blood splashed as the Wolf King's head was cut off by Lin Feng's sword.